wrestling fans? It's that time of the week for them boys from 607 Podcast to talk all things pro wrestling and call it right down the middle. That's right, it's time for this week's edition of 607 Podcast presents The Wrestling Show, better known as 607 TWS. And of course, we are coming to you from the ODPH dungeon, the realest thing in all of pro wrestling podcasting. I am your host here at 607 TWS, and I am also the host of the 3FN podcast. My name is Rich, and joining me in the co-pilot's chair as he does each and every week, but you better know him as the host of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast, better known as the ODPH. I'm talking about Ken M.
607 podcast family, what is happening? What is going on? What is good? Let's talk some pro wrestling, shall we?
That's right. Let's get pumped. Let's get excited.
Yes.
You know, I always love it when we peak in the beginning. So sometimes if you guys hear some popping, believe it or not, I kind of enjoy that because that means the excitement is in the room. Mm-hmm. That means it's going to be a good damn show. Now, when it doesn't peak, that means the excitement isn't quite there. But you know what? It's an exciting time in the world of pro wrestling and in the world of 607 TWS. But we'll make an announcement at the end of the show. So fans of the show, if you want to hear about an awesome announcement that means more content for you, stay tuned at the end of the show. After the main event, we will talk about our personal stuff because I don't want to bog anybody down that doesn't care.
Right.
And you know, mind you, and you're not hurting my feelings if you're just here to listen to us talk about wrestling because, hell, that's what the show says. But if you want to know more about what's happening with us and the way you're going to get more bonus content,
yes,
stick around. After the main event, we will talk about it this week. Big announcement for the show. But before we get there, we got a lot of great pro wrestling to talk about. In that main event segment, we are going to be talking about All Elite Wrestling's build to the biggest show in their company history, All In, plus a little bit of build to All Out, because we're starting to get some build to All Out. We're going to talk about how we feel about that, some new matches announced, and so on and so forth. Of course, next week, we will be doing our full preview of All In, because it's upon us. Mm-hmm. It is upon us. So, on top of that, Ken M., do you know what else we're going to be doing?
Oh, I know what we're going to be doing.
In the mid-card, we're going to be talking about one of our favorite times of year for one of our favorite independent pro wrestling companies. That's right.
Homecoming.
Game Changer Wrestling Homecoming is coming up this upcoming weekend, so we're going to break that all down for you fine folks, as well as talk about this past week, GCW returned to Los Angeles, California for No Signal in the Hill Part 3, and it caught a lot of internet buzz because of a certain main event. We're going to break that down for you in the mid-card as well, but we're going to open up in the opening contest talking about first some big news out of WWE. We got a new United States champion that nobody saw coming. Yeah. Nobody. And on top of all of that, Ken, we also have Jey Uso. Is he or isn't he gone? We're going to break that down for all you fine folks. And also in the opening contest, we're going to be talking about the G1 Climax. It's coming to its conclusion. And on top of that, it means the road to Wrestle Kingdom has started. And even more important, New Japan Pro Wrestling back in the States this upcoming weekend for 2 huge shows in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're going to break that down. All of that is coming to you in the opening contest. But before we can get to all of that fine stuff, Ken, we have to tell the fine folks how to find yourself and the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast.
It's very simple. Swing on over to odphpodcast.com, join in the conversation on social media accounts, check out the TeePublic store, check out the Patreon link, check out the blog section, check out the classifieds where you can find friends of the show such as 3FM Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and so many more. The directory, the music section, basically if it's anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com.
And if you're trying to connect with me and the 3FN Podcast, it's simple. Go to 3fnpodcast.com. All of our social media links are there, as well as our TeePublic link. Our link to our Patreon, patreon.com/3FN Podcast for as little as $1 a month to get a ton of extra bonus content and help support everything we do around here. Also, while you're there, make sure you check out the portions of the website that are for the 3FN Podcast and 607 TWS, as well as the Friends of the Show category, which I'm going to have to add to very soon. But right now, the ODPH Podcast lives there, amongst other things that will be coming very shortly. While you're there also, make sure you check out the musical directory, where we have amazing bands who provide us with music so we don't get hit with those dreaded DMCAs. And of course, we're going to give shout outs right now. First of all, to our good friends over at Floodlands, whose song Ruins is the theme song you hear each and every week for 607 TWS. And then our good friend Second Suitor, whose song One Winged Angel closes down the show each and every week. And of course, there's other bands, but support those bands and all the great bands there because they support us. And make sure you're supporting them on YouTube Music, Spotify, or Bandcamp, or anywhere you get your great music from independent bands. And last but certainly not least, we have our sponsorship portion. There's going to be places like Dragon Master Games, dragonmastergames.com for all your Magic the Gathering and gaming needs. But most importantly, the number one sponsor here in the month of August is our good friends over at Sci-Fi Horror Fest. It's upon us, Vernon, New York at the Vernon Downs Casino, August 25th and 26th. There's a lot of great guests, celebrities, vendors, and everything else going to be there, including Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp, amongst other things. Dave Sheridan from Scary Movie. You know him as Officer Doofy.
Yep.
Also going to be there, Ken Foray. And what hasn't Ken Foray been in? Of course, Dawn of the Dead comes to mind, the original right off the bat. Of course, he was also in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. And you know what? He was also in Rob Zombie's Halloween as one of the greatest cameo characters of all time because he's Joe Grizzly, bitch.
Yes.
On top of all of that, there's Lorenzo Lamas. There's a bunch of vendors. There's some kind of like 3D printing thing that they're bringing. There's like some virtual reality. There's an escape room, a horror escape room that's coming, and a bunch of other vendors. It's amazing. If you want to find out the full list or ticket information and everything else, visit sci-fi-horrorfest.com. And of course, if you forget any of those links, just visit 3fnpodcast.com because we've got your hookup like Big Papa Pump. Now that that's out of the way, we've taken care of the business, Ken. I need you to set that watch for the fans because that's right, it's time to kick off this week's edition of 607 TWS, and we're going to hit you off with this opening segment. And let's start off with some WWE news because there's only a couple things that we really want to talk about this week. One of them being the title change that shocked the world.
Yes.
So as we know, so first of all, I got to say this, and I know certain football team's fans are going to feel a certain kind of way. But here in New York State, we live in upstate New York, the 607, the Binghamton, New York area, we'll say. We are, of course, our New York market. So Friday night at 8 p.m., starting actually at 7:30, the New York Football Giants had a preseason game against the Detroit Lions that was on Fox and preempted SmackDown for us. You could watch SmackDown after the game, after the local news, that is. But it was just kind of like, why? And I'm sorry, Giants fans, but I don't give a damn. And I'm a huge football fan.
This is true.
I don't care about preseason football.
Right.
Preseason football, and the reason they've shortened it to 3 games is because A, it's not important, and B, it's only a way for people to get injured. And we've had enough injuries in training camp. Trust me, I'm not going to dive too far into football because in a couple weeks' time, myself, Ken M, and Padawan J will be sitting down for the yearly ODPH breakdown of the NFL season, giving our thoughts on every team in the league and also giving our picks for the year. That happens every year if you're a fan of the ODPH podcast. And if you've never listened to it before, guess what? Check out the ODPH podcast and also make sure you're checking out when we do our football classic. It's usually 2 episodes. It's a show so big, it can't be encompassed in one.
Exactly. It's one of the most downloaded episodes of the year. We give you everything you need to know about the football season. So if you want to know who you should be rooting for this year, what you should be looking out for, that is the episode you want to get into.
And that's how you shill, baby, shill. But anyways, we got preempted, so I didn't get to watch it live. I had to watch clips. But I got to see the internet hullabaloo because, and by the way, I got to see that the fact that the title changed hands before I knew how the story played out because all of a sudden I saw the graphic and knew WWE United States Champion Rey Mysterio. And I went, wait a minute. Wasn't Austin Theory taking on Santos Escobar?
Right.
How does this happen? So finally we watched the clips, and of course, earlier in the night, right before the match, I should say. I shouldn't say earlier in the night. Theory took out Santos Escobar, and then Rey Mysterio takes his place and becomes your new WWE United States Champion. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card at all.
Oh, absolutely not.
And I want to tell you, first of all, how do you feel about the title change and the ending of the reign of Austin Theory?
Shocking, to be honest with you, because I think everybody had an idea who was going to take Theory's belt. I have a different theory, and especially now seeing what happened on Friday night, I think I know what they're setting up for a little bit.
We'll get to that in a second.
Right, but shocking nevertheless.
The fact is that you got a theory on theory.
Yes.
Well, I looked at it like this. I was kind of like, I was surprised because I didn't think this was coming down the pike. Surprised that they didn't have Santos Escobar win. I'm a big fan, but I'm okay with Rey winning. Don't get me wrong. I just kind of like, as I'm looking at this, I'm kind of like, we've been in a period of WWE where the belts have, for a long time, everybody talked about hot potatoing belts in WWE. They have overcorrected that, I think. Now we've had some of the longest reigns ever. Not that long ago, we had the longest tag team championship reign by the Usos.
Right.
And until WrestleMania when they lost the belts to KO and Sammy. We've got currently the longest run since the 1980s in Roman Reigns. And he's even surpassed some of the legendary runs that we thought would never be broken in this day and age, right?
Right.
We are on the precipice of Gunther becoming the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. Theory was champion for like 290 days, right around that mark. It was somewhere 270, 290 was what I read. Mm-hmm. So that's a long reign,
huge.
Bianca Belair had held the title for a long time before she dropped it to Asuka. Now, of course, it kind of did the double change, but it perfectly, right? Let's be honest. And over on the other channel, Rhea Ripley, has been dominant since WrestleMania.
Right.
But before then, there wasn't really too much flipping, but there were some belt changes. But I think that we've just been in this era where we're not used to seeing a belt change. And I think some fans just kind of want to see belt changes. So I think that they did the right thing here. Mm-hmm. Now I'm really interested because you didn't even tell me what your theory was. What is your theory on the reason why the belt changed on Friday night?
Because the internet and most wrestling fans thought LA Knight, was going to be the one to take the belt. I think we're going to have some kind of shenanigans where he winds up facing Gunther at Survivor Series to win the belt.
I'm going to give you something. I don't think it's going to be shenanigans necessarily. I think that there's going to be a trade, if you will.
Yep.
I think LA Knight is going over to Monday Night Raw. A lot of people are like, why was he on Raw last week? Well, it was right after a pay-per-view. It is what it is. And plus, it's story-based, this wrestling. Do we really need reasons? Mm-hmm. Well, then why did you break them apart if you were going to... Just let it work.
Right.
And I'm happy to see a Miz versus LA Knight program in the meantime. I think that they're going to do one of those classic trades that they did when they used to split all the time. I don't know if this trade means we're going to see when Kairi Sane comes in. Mm-hmm. Because, folks, we know that's happening. It probably won't happen until November because I do believe she's finishing up with Stardom in October.
I believe so,
is what I thought was written on the internet. She did say she's leaving for a different opportunity. She did not say what opportunity, but let's be honest. Everybody has already pointed out it's WWE. She's been very big on going back there, especially because she wanted to work a program with Io Sky, and Io Sky wants to work a program with her, and then also Asuka's there. And, of course, she did not have a bad time in the World Wrestling Entertainment. And now it could come to fruition that she could have an even better match. And, I mean, she did let everybody in a little bit more on her stream where she said she kind of fell out of love with Stardom and being back home in Japan when she had to lose the NJPW or IWGP, Women's Championship. So she wasn't a fan of dropping that belt to Mercedes. And on top of that, Mercedes wasn't champion long because injury, basically. Weird situations going on in Japan. Mm-hmm. So I think you could gear up and either go, okay, well, we get Kairi Sane over here on SmackDown, and we'll just shift over LA Knight, or we could do a bigger trade and have somebody go back and forth. Because eventually we're going to have a trade or something, unless he wins the Rumble with Cody Rhodes to go back to SmackDown. Because let's be honest, on Raw, the Raw after SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes didn't by mistake drop the fact that my mom told me that Brock Lesnar was acknowledging me. Mm-hmm. He's keeping that seed planted that we're going to get Roman versus Cody. And depending upon how the Bloodline storyline is going here, which we're going to be talking about in a second, that could be sooner than Mania even. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I just think that we might just have the champions get traded for whatever reason. So Imperium comes to Friday night and Ray goes to Monday.
I think we have to keep Imperium on Monday. So LA Knight being over on Monday night and defeating The Miz in a little program and then going and taking the Intercontinental title off the Gunther is perfect for me.
Yeah, well, I think that would be the smart play to do, but would they load up that many star power faces on there between Seth, Cody, and LA, and then what do you have on SmackDown?
Well, here's the thing. On SmackDown, you got the Bloodline.
Right.
And that's been driving the chariot. Also, you got guys like Sheamus saying, hand me the ball. So maybe they're going to say, hey, listen, we're going to hand you the ball. Rumor has it, and this is only rumor, that no members of the Bloodline are going to be on this upcoming Friday Night SmackDown. So for guys like Sheamus and stuff, and Drew McIntyre, well, Drew McIntyre's now on Raw, but he was on SmackDown before and made some grumbles. Right. And some other people who said, hey, listen, give us the ball. I think Triple H and management are going, okay, we'll give you the ball. We did something with the Bloodline, which we're going to talk about in a second. Mm-hmm. We're going to let that simmer. You get the ball. Let's see what you can do this week. Let's see if we can pull the numbers without Roman. And I think that they can.
Oh, I think they can too. Absolutely.
I think there's enough star power. You got AJ Styles still over there, which is untapped for them, really. I mean, we could really get full potential now. The match with him and Karrion Kross was good. I mean, regardless of what you feel about Karrion Kross not winning another feud, it doesn't really matter per se because wins and losses at the end of the day are just a story device.
But you know what? Speaking of him, that's who I think gets the belt from Ray.
I could see that. But also, there's a deeper storyline there. Did you see some of these conspiracies on the internet? They kind of pulled the Bray Wyatt kind of like, remember when Bray Wyatt was doing the heel or her? It's kind of working that way with Karrion Kross.
Yep.
Everybody who faces Kross changes them. And it's being kind of noted by people now. It's really cool. If you really go search down the rabbit hole if you want. I'm not going to dive too deep into it.
No pun intended.
Yes. Well, maybe pun intended because you never know. You know, we got good news that Bray Wyatt possibly is on the road to recovery and being back. And I got to throw out and I'm not going to rub it in because this is real life. But I will say once again to all the people out there who always make assumptions because you're guessing off of what people are feeding you on the internet. Always be careful and watch out. Yeah. Because we found out this week that it was way more serious with Bray Wyatt than just, I'm not on TV. Because whatever was wrong with him health-wise, they said was not just career-threatening, it was also life-threatening. Yeah. So the fact that there was people out there going, well, he's not on TV because Vince is back. And like just belittling things. Guys, this is why as a community we have to stop and wait until things come out. Because honestly, when I saw that, I just my stomach got sick because we were always like, there's something more. I mean, originally there was the finger. We knew that the finger was jacked up because there was photographic evidence of that. And then afterwards we had heard rumblings that there was something wrong with him and we didn't know what. And then, so we always said, listen, it's not something with Vince. It's not whatever. There's got to be more to the story. And that's why we didn't report on it because there was no reason to add our, thing. We said, oh man, SummerSlam, it looks like he might come back. And then right before SummerSlam, we found out the doctor said not quite yet. He's not there and WWE doesn't want him in the ring until he's 100%. And so that should have been the biggest cue to everybody out there that there's something really wrong, because nobody's going to be like, well, hold him off if he's ready. Right. Fast forward. Now we find out, Bray Wyatt T's and P's, get well.
Absolutely.
We hope to see you back in the ring soon and better than ever. But I'm just glad that he's on the mend, even if he never wrestled again, as long, health and life is way more important. But
absolutely.
I just want to take the time, and it's not me trying to chastise anybody in particular. That's not where we're going to throw people under the bus, but you guys know there's a lot of it, and maybe some people listening to this show even bought into it. That's why you got to be careful. We're going to talk about another thing in a minute here, but you got to be careful buying into the hype because it's not real.
Yeah.
Sometimes the internet guys are just trying to make money, or they're going off of bad faith dealers. You know what I mean? Just got to watch where you get your information. So, thankfully, Bray Wyatt's on the mend. So maybe we'll be seeing something with him very soon.
Wouldn't doubt, him and Cody when he comes back.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like Cody's taking a detour to the Judgment Day. I like it. The Judgment Day is imploding. And also, you could get a Finn Cody feud a little bit out of this maybe. And that carries us over just a little further. I'm thinking that maybe, this is just wishful thinking, Randy Orton's trying to become 100% to make one last run, he says. I think that he's the guy. So the great news about Brock and Cody, we got a beautiful story. Whether people, you're like, well, why Brock do it? Well, simple. Brock wanted to make sure that he was the guy.
Right.
He proved to Brock he's the guy. He shakes his hand, which he doesn't do for anybody. Well, now the problem is, how do you go on to a bigger thing? I think the story writes itself. The guy who brought him in and gave him his first, good rub in Legacy, Randy Orton, comes back and says, hey, you're doing all this great press. You're doing all this great things. You're talking about your dad. You're talking about all these people. You know who you're not talking about?
Me.
The guy who brought you to the dance.
Yep.
And you owe your whole career to me because
the things
you're doing now are things that I taught you. And you finally listened. And you finally became what I always saw in you. This is, but you're not giving me the credit. So if you think you're going to walk in and take on Roman Reigns or anybody else and become a champion and finish a story, think again, you're going to have to earn my respect. And you can have this nice feud for a couple months where he has to earn Randy's respect. The storyline is there. You get past, you get a little handshake, I've even heard people say, you could probably do a little bit with Edge even, in between, depending upon how long Randy's out.
Sure.
You could do a little match with Edge. Edge just saying, hey, listen, I want to make sure you're ready. So you could basically have him earn the respect of pretty much the older generation, if you will, the guys who came right before him, who paved the road for him, to get him there. And it's just a good storyline. They're not as big as Brock Lesnar, but they're still, the storyline's
They're
great.
still names, yeah.
I even heard somebody throw out there, it'd be great, but obviously with AEW and WWE and the different companies, it would be great if Dustin Rhodes came back for a mini thing with his brother, saying, you've always, before you go on to fight Roman, you've always said that you had to get out of Dad's shadow. Well, Dad ain't here. I'm the closest thing. So now you have to prove to me that you deserve to go on and carry on this in Dad's name. It writes itself, but I don't know if we can get that, but Randy, we can.
It would be wild, but granted, the amount of moving parts involved would be a little insane. But if they actually set that up for Survivor Series, just one night, Dustin, Cody, 2.
Yeah, it'd be something good for the story.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean they have a lot of win there, and that's why I say it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But with the Intercontinental title, I think it's ultimately going to be LA Knight because that's going to be the big thing to push him over. SmackDown. If he does go there, I think they're going to have to really reload the deck if the Bloodline's not featured there, with everything going on. But I think with what they're going to try doing this week, I think that's got a lot of potential too, and especially somebody's due for a breakout moment on that roster.
You also have to remember, and I will say this, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who Kevin Owens is right now nursing an injury to his ribs, but Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens technically are in both shows because there's only one set of tag champions. So we could move Sami Zayn over while Kevin Owens is getting healthy.
Yeah.
And that would give you your big baby face. And it technically fits inside the rules because he's a tag champion. He can be on both shows.
Great point.
So I think that you might see something like that. Especially you could, Jay's away, which we're going to talk about in a second, you could actually have, Sammy, who's, him and Jay became best bros, if you will. Mm-hmm. You could have him come over and get in Jimmy's face and say, hey, listen, why?
Yeah.
Now you got to fight me. Now I'm done with you. You got to fight me.
I'm okay with that.
So let's get to that because that's the only other thing WWE want to talk about this past week. Bloodline storyline. Everybody, half the people say that they're tired of. The other half say, "Hey, give me more." We tend to fall on the latter, but hey, we understand why other people I think gave us a little twist that we didn't see coming. Jimmy Uso, first of all, we had the tribal chief being recrowned in Roman Reigns. We have Solo out there. Jimmy comes out there, and then Jay makes his appearance because, of course, he has to be there because contractually obligated. And Jimmy basically tells Jay, hey, listen, I did it because I love you and I didn't want to lose you. I felt if you were the tribal chief, I'd lose you just like we lost Roman. So it was still the dissension. Mm-hmm. Like we said, he didn't do it for Roman.
Right.
He did it because of other reasons. I get it. And I think it will finally come out he did it for jealousy.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell there's a little more there. And they built the story so well around the jealousy that it'll eventually come out, right? Mm-hmm. Listen, Solo makes a statement, which I thought was crazy. However, Jay had 0 F's to give, brother. 0 F's to give. He took everybody out. He took out the entire bloodline. And after taking out the bloodline, he said, I quit the bloodline. Hell, I quit WWE and walked out through the crowd. And that got the internet buzzing. Let's just talk about the storyline. Let's not go to the other parts yet. Okay. Let's just talk about the storyline. How are you feeling about Jey Uso and the latest chapter in the bloodline storyline?
Give him the Oscar already. Just give him the awards, all of them. Cinema. Simple cinema. What he's doing right now, for anybody that thought that his loss at SummerSlam, he would fall out of the spotlight for whatever reason, he is going to be world champion within 2 years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mark my words.
He's a top guy.
Yeah, he has no worry about his place in the roster. He is putting on the best work of his career. I love the storyline. I think that if you're going to have Roman take some time off and not be the centerpiece of it, I think this is going to make some compelling stuff. This kind of almost reminds me of the Summer of Punk in a certain degree.
A little bit.
Because he's leaving, but he's still going to be lurking around. And that's going to be the key thing, building for whatever they're going to do at Survivor Series. I still think that we are going to get the Bloodline.
I'm with you.
The real tribal combat.
Either a triple threat match to settle who's going to face Roman, or it's going to be the 4-way for the belt.
Yeah. So you're going to have the Bloodline implosion in that match, whatever it's going to be, 3 or 4-way. But this is the spark to it. And they're going to take their time getting there like they've done with everything else. They haven't had a misfire, in my opinion. So We just got to let the story play out, but this moment was perfect.
See, the only other thing that I would say, and we're going to get to the only other thing I would say is if they don't do the bloodline, four-way or whatever, I think you'll get a couple months without Jey, and this is definitely done by design.
Yes.
Because what it is that they realize that the Usos fighting each other, that's a WrestleMania match. But we're not close to WrestleMania. So we have to drag this out. So how do you drag this out? You do a Summer of Punk kind of storyline where Jey Uso is gone, but he's still kind of around. I think what'll end up happening is that maybe you get Jimmy versus Roman or Jimmy in a bad situation. Jey does return to save his brother. We get the happy-go-lucky moment. The Usos get back together to maybe challenge for the tag titles or something. And then Jimmy really turns on Jimmy.
Right.
That's where the jealousy comes out. And then we'll get hopefully, I'm not against Jimmy's promos, but we haven't really seen too many of them. If he can bring the fire like Jey does, or even halfway, and just be like, this is why, because I should be the best, not you. You take everything. You get all the attention. Your main event, Jey Uso. I'm just your brother, Jimmy. That's not how this works. That's why I did what I did. I didn't do it because I loved you. I do it because I hate you.
Yeah.
I can't stand you. I loathe you, and really drive home. And then that build goes into Mania. So, you could do that, a couple months out, you're in Survivor Series, you're November, December. Next thing you know, you're doing, the big turn at the Royal Rumble. Jay's hurt for a month. He comes back fighting. We're going to Mania. And all of a sudden we have a storyline. So, and WWE, let's be honest, played it off perfect. Moved him to the alumni page.
Yep.
Playing this to the hills. So much so that the internet started to believe the hype. Not all the internet. Not the journalists.
Right.
Because, listen, before I play what I'm going to play to make Ken real happy, I will say this. I feel super bad for Sean Ross Sapp, who is out here defending, because half of these people claiming things are claiming it was per Fightful Select, and he's out here no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
He's innocent on this.
Before I play into this, SRS, Uncle Dave, Wade Keller, the usual suspects are not involved in any of this at all. They all know it's a work.
Right.
Just like we're telling you now. Listen, we're burying the lead here. It's a work. But we've got a lot of people out there hitting us up and asking questions. And let's be honest, the internet is just...
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies.
Yes.
So let's break this down real quick, and I promise, because I want to get into New Japan talk. So
Same,
I just want to throw this out there. I love the storyline. We've kind of iced it out for you, what we believe is really going on. It's going around, and I'm just different versions, but pretty much, correct me when I'm wrong, the pretty nuts and bolts that we've been hearing from people and also seeing on the internet is that Jey Uso is leaving WWE. His no-compete clause is up 5 days before All In, so next week.
Right.
And... a week, I should say, a week away from now. And that he's going to show up at All In under his real name.
Yep, there's the fake graphic with his real name is All Elite.
Yeah. Guys, first of all, the first things first. His contract isn't up because he signed contracts with his brother. So that means Jimmy Uso is still under a contract, Jey Uso is still under a contract. They're still under contract. That's the first thing. Secondly, even if his contract was up and it ended this month, his no-compete wouldn't be over in 5 days.
Right.
His no-compete, he has a minimum 30-day, probably a 90-day. So even if his contract was up, ladies and gentlemen, his contract wouldn't be able to go anywhere until October, November-ish, if my math is correct.
Yeah, it'd be right after the Survivor Series range.
Yeah, you're looking at October, November, right?
Yeah.
At the earliest. So even if, they're not. It's a storyline. It's a storyline. Guys, I understand. If it really if you're one of the people who thought that this blurred the line so good, then that means they did their job right.
Oh, yes.
This is 110% storyline. Jey Uso, it was smart business because they pulled the trigger, whether you agree with it or not, because I can see both sides on the pulling the trigger a little earlier with this Jimmy and Jey stuff. They need to carry it to Mania. This is not a match that you just have at a random pay-per-view.
Right.
The Usos explode is a WrestleMania main event, damn it. And if not a main event, a featured match at WrestleMania. It's a big match.
Oh, yeah, it's a marquee.
So we got to drag it out. How are we going to drag it out? Oh, we borrow a little bit from something that's been done, and we call it the Summer of Punk, but it was done even before Punk did it. But the Summer of Punk philosophy is, hey, I'm going to leave the company, but, I'm going to leave you in a bad way. And I'm not really leaving the company, though. and it creates a storyline. And we've seen it a few different times.
What would be smart business if they wanted to do it and just really get at the internet is just have Jay show up at random shows for other promotions. Just have him sit in the front row.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just teasing it. Like hypothetically saying you buy him a ticket for Wembley.
Hypothetically. I
Yes.
like it, though. Here's my favorite part. There was somebody on the internet, and I wish I got the name. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not my credit. They wrote, hey, wouldn't it be great if WWE let Jey Uso go to Impact for one night and just confront Trinity and be like, your husband's a bitch.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, that would get the internet buzzing.
Yo, yeah.
And Impact has done work with WWE before. And it would benefit Impact to be like, oh shit, we have Jey Uso on our card.
Impact probably would do this.
I would be all in.
Oh my God, yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No pun intended.
But it's smart booking because when you cross the line of reality and the business, and Punk set that blueprint way back when with the Summer of Punk, that's why it worked, because when you tap into the audience in that manner, and especially when you cross over into the pop culture audience, which, like I say, Punk did way back when, this storyline has been doing. This is like with Austin 316 and NWO. Everybody knows what the storyline is.
Well, yeah, the cool part is I love that you brought up what Punk did when blurring the lines. That is why Punk is still a top guy to this day.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from his mic work, his in-ring work, which is great. The reason why CM Punk became the voice of the voiceless was because of the pipe bomb, which led to the WWE Summer of Punk. Not the ROH version,
right,
but the WWE version of Summer of Punk. That is why CM Punk was a made man to this day, and nothing against it. Great storyline. You know what I mean?
Legendary.
Great storyline. This reminds me, speaking of doing business with people, this storyline with the Usos, if you were to do the Trinity idea like somebody brought up, think about it this way. That would be almost mixing it to the point of Matt Hardy versus Edge. Mm-hmm. Remember when Matt Hardy got legit fired and then they brought him back, but when they brought him back, they let him wrestle in Ring of Honor, and then he started jumping Edge, and one of my favorite lines of all time is the security grabbed him, and he just yells at security, "You can't touch me, I'm a Ring of Honor wrestler."
Yeah.
I work for ROH. It was hilarious. I've always enjoyed that. It was a good shout out to a company who was smaller, way smaller than him. And not saying the Impact is irrelevant, but if you think about it, Impact would get a good rub because everybody would be buzzing like, holy, did you see Jey Uso show up? Mm-hmm. And B, think about how much real life that is. Then Jimmy has to be like, man, I got to get my hands on him. He accosted my wife. He went to my wife's job. Think about that as a man in real life. If somebody showed up to your wife's job to tell your wife, hey, listen, your husband's a bitch, how you would feel.
Yeah.
They just pulled your card.
It's
next level of disrespect.
It's so personal now too with how it's connecting with the audience. Like, yeah, they have to do something like this. Like, and Impact and WWE has had a great relationship. Hell, they let Mickie James wear the Impact World Title come out to the Royal Rumble, and Impact is the true forbidden door too. Let's not forget, they do business with everybody.
We've been saying that forever.
Yes,
it's true. They're doing business with New Japan. We're gonna talk about it in a minute. It's just it would make a lot of sense in my opinion.
It would make a lot of sense. They should definitely run with it and just have Jey Uso show up at big events. Like when Punk was going to San Diego Comic-Con at the time, he was technically off contract. Same kind of vibe. If they do stuff like that, this would really sell this storyline, and just have Jay just swoop back in when nobody's expecting, and the storyline lights itself back up.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to keep our eyes on it, but listen, don't believe the internet. It is a work.
Yes.
Jey Uso is gainfully employed by WWE.
Stop blaming SRS.
Please, for the poor man's sake. I'm going to ask people. Come on. The guy is just getting beat down because people are per Fightful when it's not even per Fightful. And the worst part is because they say per Fightful Select. That's the paid version. So some people wouldn't know. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. All right. Let's get into some happy times because, Ken, I do believe it's time for... some New Japan talk.
Yes.
And of course, we're talking G1 Climax 33 update. I do have to give you a little bit of information here. First of all, because of some scheduling, we are recording late night Saturday. So if you want to know, on the East Coast, it's 11:05 p.m. Saturday night. We watched Collision and then came in to record 607 TWS. So the finals for the G1 Climax will go down before this show comes out to you guys Sunday. Okay, just so you guys know. So there will be a winner by then, but we don't know who the winner is going to be. We can only give you up until the point of the winner. So we are going to talk about that. I'm going to do a quick breakdown because we want to make sure that we don't want to dive too much in the weeds because there's only a couple matches that really meant anything, including the fact that Eddie Kingston came up just short.
Yep.
Eddie Kingston was on the precipice of being in the Elite Eight. So the quarterfinals of the G1 Climax before he lost to David Finlay. It was a very heartbreaker.
It crushed me. But you know what? I will say this. Kudos to AEW because they did a nice little vignette for him on Dynamite.
I did like that.
Showcasing it. So, I thought it was cool. But, yeah, that's who I was hoping would somehow sneak into that Final Four.
But we did find out that Evil snuck into the back door as well. So
yes.
We have some competition in the finals of G1. Let's talk about the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals went down on Thursday, August the 10th, from the Chiba, from the Funabashi City General Gymnasium. And the quarterfinals went down like this. In the first quarterfinal match, Hikuleo was defeated by Tetsuya Naito. Naito moves on to the semifinals. And the next quarterfinal match, the IWGP United States champion at the time, we'll get to that in a minute, Will Ospreay defeated David Finlay to eliminate David Finlay. Will Ospreay going on to the semifinals.
Great match, too.
Yeah, absolutely. The IWGP World's Heavyweight Champion, Sonata, you know what the funny part is? He finally took a loss in the quarterfinals to Evil. Evil eliminated the world champion, Sonata, to move on to the semifinals.
Shocking there.
I think that was upset of the weekend.
Yeah.
And last but not least, in the main event of that evening, the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada punched his ticket again to the semifinals by defeating the NJPW World Television Champion, Zack Sabre Jr. So now that we went there, we had to go ahead to the semifinals. The semifinals went down on Saturday, August 12th from Tokyo, Japan. And in the semifinal matches, we had two, obviously. The Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada defeats Evil to advance to the finals of the G1 Climax 33. And in the main event of the evening, Tetsuya Naito pulls off the upset in this case and defeats Will Ospreay to move on to the finals. Your finals, Naito versus Okada. Like I said, by the time you guys hear this, you'll know who is the victor of it. But before we talk about what happened with Will Ospreay after, I want to get your pick. Who's taking this show down? Is it going to be Naito or Okada? Mind you, we are a few hours away as we're recording from this match going down.
My heart says Naito. My head says Okada. I am hoping Naito sneaks in there because I think Okada, it's too telegraphed, in my opinion. I want to see something really shake things up. And I think Naito being back in there would be that shakeup.
I would like to see Naito. I just think it's going to be Okada.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways it has to be Okada because whether the Sonata experiment is working or not is up in the air depending upon who you talk to. So you either need Okada to go to Wrestle Kingdom for Sonata to have a huge victory over Okada to, ingratiate him as the real champion. Or you go, well, we experimented with it. It didn't work this time. Back to the drawing board. Let's just give the belt back to the Rainmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the Rainmaker, although Naito kind of does the same thing, but he's just not Okada.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if Naito wins, but I think that they're going to give it to the Rainmaker. But I'm with you. I hope Naito wins.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Will Ospreay real quick before we move on to what's coming up. Will Ospreay, after losing, kind of lost his marbles a little bit.
Yep.
But on top of that, he kind of went on a tirade, and he says he doesn't want to be the IWGP United States champion. Instead, he's the IWGP United Kingdom champion, and he breaks out the brand new UK Championship, which is basically a variation of the US title, only with UK graphics on it. How are you feeling about your new, technically, IWGP United Kingdom champion, Will Ospreay? Right before All In.
Ospreay's the man. I'm sorry, him losing his mind and then just doing that, amazing, and especially, whatever he's going to be doing at All In.
Rumors?
Yes, rumor.
Rumor has that it was going to be Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP United Kingdom Championship now at All In. Rumors. We'll find out more. Maybe that has something to do with the Don Callis decision this upcoming Wednesday. Maybe he turns down Don Callis. And remember, Don Callis aligned himself with Will Ospreay when Ospreay took on Omega and Ospreay Omega 2.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe that's the way we do it storyline-wise. So we'll have to wait and find out this upcoming week. We'll have more on that next week, obviously. But Will Ospreay, your new United Kingdom champion. Kudos to Will Ospreay. So we got 2 big shows to talk about, and they're New Japan shows. Well, one of them is a New Japan Impact show. The other one is straight New Japan, even though there's guests on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming to you from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's right. New Japan invades the United States in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the 2300 Arena, as all of us old school fans know it as forever, the ECW Arena.
Correct.
On Rittner and Swanson. Ladies and gentlemen, Saturday, August 19th. At the bell time will be 7 p.m. I do believe you can purchase this on Fight, and I think it'll also be available on NJPWWorld.com. It is the All-Star Junior Festival USA. That's what they're calling it. And of course, this is a promise from the ticking time bomb, Hamaru Takahashi, about a year and a half ago. He said he wanted to bring a Juniors Fest to the United States. That was his dream. Remember last time they were in the States, Rocky Romero said, hey, you told these fine folks that you were going to make a dream come true. How about we do it? Mm-hmm. And here we are seeing the fruition. Are you ready to talk about the All-Star Junior Festival?
Can't wait. Let's go.
There is a first-round tournament match between Kevin Knight and Clark Connors.
Ooh.
Next up, we have a ASJF tournament first-round match, which has been All-Star Junior Festival. We're just going to shorten it. Francisco Akira taking on Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh, that's going to be phenomenal.
Then the winners of those 2 matches at some point in Junction tonight will meet each other in the tournament final. So it'll either be Kevin Knight and Francisco Akira taking on or going against Mike Bailey or the opposite. You know
I never bet against Speedball, so that's my pick.
I'm going to say the finals of this, Clark Connors versus Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I could see Kevin Knight getting the win too. But I'm just throwing it out there. Mm-hmm. Next up, we got a tag match announced. Matt Sydal. Yeah, that Matt Sydal will be tagging with Yo to take on Bushi and Shun Skywalker.
Ooh.
That's going to be a match.
That's going to be something.
Next up, we got Mao and El Desperado teaming up to take on, ready for it? Because I know you're going to get popped for this one. Your reigning Game Changer Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, the East-West Express, the East Coast Ace, Jordan Oliver, the Young Goat, Nick Wayne. That's right. We're going to get Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver against Mao and El Desperado in Philadelphia.
Take my money now.
And the only other match that is announced is going to be for the Philly Cheesesteak Cup. That is right, the Philly Cheesesteak Cup. It is a 3-way tag team ladder match. And the 3 teams are going to be Doki and Lowrider.
Okay.
Taking on Master Watto and Blake Christian.
Oh.
Taking on the man that the reason this tournament's happening, the ticking time bomb, Hamaru Takahashi, and his partner for the evening, Rocky Romero.
Oh, that's interesting.
Great matches going down. So you're going to want to watch the All-Star Festival.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And I know Ken really wants to watch now because East-West Express is in his house.
Yeah, I was already sold on this card beforehand, but yeah, you throw the East-West Express in, I'm in. I'm in all day.
But that's not all, Ken. That's not all, because on Sunday, August 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the 2300 Arena, Impact Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling present Multiverse United 2, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Interesting name, huh? I wonder if somebody's going to be there. We'll find out, huh?
Oh, if only.
So I will point this out. This is on Fight TV, not Fight Plus. It's $24.99. I do know that. And it'll be at 5 p.m. on Sunday. So Sunday, the 20th of August, Fight TV, $24.99. Ready to break down the card?
Let's do it.
We are going to have TMDK versus Impact as Zack Sabre Jr. will tag with the legend of Slapjack, Shane Haste, to take on Die Hard Eddie Edwards and Moose.
Oh, that's going to be great, but you know where my loyalty lies.
In a singles war, and this is going to get hardcore and violent, Doki goes one-on-one with the Callahan Death Machine, Sami Callahan.
I hurt just hearing that. Oh, that's going to be great, though.
How about this? An X Division / Junior Heavyweight Scramble match. Now, mind you, it's a scramble. Here's your participants. Frankie Kazarian, El Desperado, Bushi, Mao, Kevin Knight, Rich Swann, and Chris Sabin.
Oh, that's a loaded scramble match.
You're telling me.
Holy smokes.
How about this one? Bullet Club versus The World. The Bullet Club will be represented by the leader, David Finlay, Kenta, Clark Connors, Alex Coughlin, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin. So this is going to be a 12-man tag match.
Okay.
Their opponents, the DKC, El Phantasmo, Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga, so the Gorillas of Destiny in their entirety. He's Not Human, PCO. And the returning walking weapon, Josh Alexander.
This is going to be wild.
Next up, special tag team contest. Trey Miguel and Leo Rush will tag to take on the team of Speedball Mike Bailey and the ticking time bomb, Hamaru Takahashi.
That could be a show stealer right there.
And in the main event of the evening, for the Impact Wrestling World Championship, your champion, Motor City Machine Gun Alex Shelley, goes one-on-one with the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Excellent main event.
Dude, this is a card.
Yeah.
Both cards in the States, you're not going to want to miss. Make sure you check them out. I'm going to tell you, if you want to see great action, if you're a big fan of high-flying, fast-paced, hard-hitting wrestling, New Japan is not going to leave you in the dust. It is going to blow your socks off. Let's throw it out that way. And Impact Wrestling, they did such a great job of Multiverse United, the first one. I'm loving the fact that we're getting a second one. In the same year, I mean, them naming it For Whom the Bell Tolls, and I did not see a mention of one Nick Gage kind of bothers me a little bit, but you never know. He could show up.
I could see Nick just...
It is Philly.
Yeah, I can see Nick just running through that Bullet Club match, just for reasons.
Versus the World, and then he's, next thing you know, pizza cutter to David Finlay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm just saying, I mean, hypothetically.
Dude, Kenta versus Nick Gage would be something I would watch.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, putting the karma out there.
Well, with that, this upcoming weekend has got a lot of great stuff coming up, but there's even more because we're going to take a break. When we come back, it'll be time for the mid-card featuring the Indie Roundup. And this upcoming weekend, it's homecoming weekend for Game Changer Wrestling. Plus, we're going to break down the card that went down this week. That, of course, being No Signal in the Hills 3 from Game Changer Wrestling when we come back from this break. That's right. We are back for this week's mid-card of the 607 TWS podcast. Ken's got his bass back, but it's only a short version. There it is. It cut off. We only had the short version now.
You know what? I tried getting it fixed this week. It did not work. I got to take it back to the shop.
Well, you know what does work? Fight Plus,
Yes,
brought
it
to you by
does.
Fight TV. And of course, the mid-card featuring the Indie Roundup is brought to you by our good friends over at Fight.tv, more specifically, Fight Plus. For $7.99 a month, you get a ton of great independent pro wrestling action. But on top of that, you also get bare knuckle fighting, MMA, rugby, soccer, boxing, all sorts of great stuff. But listen, we're a pro wrestling podcast, so we're here for that indie pro wrestling content. And do they give you the best indie pro wrestling content, Ken M?
By far and away, they do.
Because they're giving you such great companies as Game Changer Wrestling, Black Label Pro, Absolute Intense Wrestling, AEW, Pro Wrestling Revolver, House of Glory Wrestling, and so much more. Glory Pro Live, and tons of other things. They're adding stuff that we don't even know about until it's hitting the stream, like MLW came out of nowhere on Fight Plus. Ken M, Fight Plus, what do you think about it?
By far and away, the best deal for any combat sport fan, any pro wrestling fan. For the quality you get for the low, low price, it is a must-have to your streaming collection because you can watch live events, you can watch taped events, you can find your fandom in the world of combat sports and pro wrestling on Fight Plus.
That's right. And of course, thank you, Fight Plus, for sponsoring the Indie Roundup. And we got all the events we're going to be talking about, our Game Changer Wrestling, and all on Fight Plus. So go ahead and watch the ones coming up this weekend. And also, you can watch all the replays, including, if you haven't seen it already, Game Changer Wrestling presents No Signal in the Hills 3 from the Ukrainian Cultural Center in Los Angeles, California. That went down this past Friday, the 11th of August. Are you ready to talk about it, Ken M?
Absolutely.
First up, the opening contest was a 6-man tag team extravaganza as Little Cholo and Los Macizos Ciclope Miedo Extremo defeated Unguided 2.0, Bodie Young Prodigy, Damian Drake, and Matt Vandergraff in 6 minutes 49 seconds. The Young Bucks found out what it was like to get their shit pushed in, if you will. But they had a good showing. Give them credit.
Good showing, but the inevitable.
The grizzled old vets, if you will, not young vets, the grizzled old vets. They know a thing or two.
Yeah.
A thing or two. Next up, there was a 4-way match in the women's division of Game Changer Wrestling as Steph DeLander, the queen of hardcore, or queen of death matches, sorry. I almost got it wrong. The Ying to Matt Cardona's Yang, if you will.
Yeah.
She defeated Ali Catch, Maki Ito, and Masha Slamovich, 11 minutes and 53 seconds. This was a terrific match, great women's match. If you're one of those people who are on the fence about women's wrestling, watch this match and tell me that A, it didn't tell a story, B, it wasn't entertaining, and C, the wrestling action wasn't just as good as the men because all of those boxes were checked in this match.
Four of the best on the indies doing their thing.
Next up, because Blake Christian made himself be known in this to cost Masha Slamovich the match. Next up, we got the GCW World title on the line as your champion, All-Heart Blake Christian, took on his challenger, Chris Bay. This match got 13 minutes and 1 second at the end of the day, and still your Game Changer Wrestling World's Heavyweight Champion, All-Heart Blake Christian. Tremendous match, though. Chris Bay just came up short.
I need to see this ran back. This was a absolute amazing match.
And by the way, you know, I know that fans get tired of heels cheating to win, but listen, that's what a heel does. Blake Christian, yeah, a little underhandedness to win this match. Next up, we had a tag team war as the Rejects, John Wayne, Murdoch, and Reed Bentley defeated the Bad Boy, Joey Janela, and Sawyer Wreck in 14 minutes and 28 seconds. Man, this match, when I say hard-hitting, I think that's an understatement.
Oh, completely. We knew what we were expecting, and did it deliver.
Let me tell you the match of the weekend. In the sleeper match that we knew and told everybody about, the return of Leon Slater. Leon Slater defeated Jack Cartwheel, 11 minutes and 6 seconds. And if you haven't seen Leon Slater, there's a clip floating around the internet of Leon Slater doing what can only be described as a swanton into a 450.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I mean it. Think about it. Dive for a swanton, but then revel into a 450 before the landing. That happened in this match against Jack Cartwheel.
I think the only person I've ever seen try that before is Ricochet.
Maybe Rich Swann back in the day. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but those are the only two that I know that could possibly hit it.
Yeah.
But Leon Slater did and hit it flawlessly.
Yeah, he did it flush.
Holy crap. I've never seen anything like it.
No.
So effortlessly. This match was tremendous. Jack Cartwheel, if you're not familiar, get familiar. Jack Cartwheel, as with us recording, was also main eventing Triple Mania in, I do believe, Mexico City against, fighting for the Mega Championship against El Hijo del Vikingo, Daga, and Speedball Mike Bailey.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe Jack Cartwheel may be your new AAA Mega Champion. Next up, we have the match between Gringo Loco, and he defeated the Southern Psychopath, Mance Warner, 11 minutes and 31 seconds. Gringo Loco put it best on Twitter. He went in there, had a hell of a match, a bloody, violent match, and he ended up beating one of the pillars of Game Changer Wrestling and Mance Warner, and he knows that that's an honor, and, he respects Mance, and Mance gave him, his props for defeating him. Gringo Loco, man, he's making that real argument to be possibly your next Game Changer Wrestling World Champion. Your thoughts, Ken M?
This match exceeded my expectations. I knew this was going to be something great, but you can't deny Gringo Loco needs to be in a title match very soon at a very big event. What a match. What a performance. I mean, I could keep raving about this, but yeah, you got to get him in a title shot. Maybe, reasons this weekend. I'm just going to put it out there.
Who knows? Next up, 6-way scramble match, the GCW bread and butter, if you will. Your JCW champion, plus one half of your Game Changer Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, the East Coast State's Jordan Oliver takes it home as he defeated the East Coast Beast, Alec Price, Braden Toon, Calibus, Jimmy Lloyd, and Jordan Cruz in 13 minutes and 26 seconds. A little longer of a scramble match, but a really good one. Jordan Oliver gets the win. He's on a streak, baby.
Yeah, you can't deny him.
Next up, Jacob Fatu returned to Game Changer Wrestling and defeated Effie 15 minutes and 30 seconds. A little after-match beatdown as well. Jacob Fatu's always a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, every time he comes to GCW, it's going to hit the fan.
And in the main event of the evening, in the match that the internet was chirping about for good reasons, Johnny Game Changer defeated the man, the king, the god of this, Nick effing Gage, in 18 minutes and 34 seconds. But a great match. Nick Gage looked like he found the fountain of youth in this match, but then this match kind of turned into an impromptu death match. So kudos to Johnny Game Changer on going through some thumbtacks. There was some glass, there was some light tubes, there was some doors, there was a little bit of everything. Oh my.
You know, when this match got announced, I think we all kind of went like, wait, seriously? And yet you saw Nick try wrestling Johnny style. You saw Johnny trying to wrestle Nick style. Had a little comedy spots here and there with the fake blood that was going on. But at the end of the day, this was a hell of a match. One of the craziest spots to finish this out. And what can you say? GCW always puts on a great performance when they go on the West Coast. And this was something the fans have been buzzing about for right reasons.
Well, guess what? We get to talk about it finally, Ken M.
Yes.
We are on the precipice of one of the greatest weekends in the Game Changer Wrestling calendar year, and that is GCW Homecoming, coming to you from the Showboat Hotel and water park resort. They have everything now. They have the East Coast biggest arcade. They have an indoor go-kart track. They have a water park, an indoor beachfront water park. It's amazing. So anyways, the Showboat in Atlantic City still hosting Game Changer Wrestling at their home in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And we got Homecoming weekend. So Homecoming night 1 will be on Saturday, August 19th. Start time, I do believe, of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Fight Plus, of course. All these events we're going to talk about for Homecoming are available on Fight Plus according to the Fight Plus schedule. Are you ready to break down night 1 of Game Changer Wrestling's Homecoming?
Absolutely.
First match. The East Coast Beast, Alec Price, goes one-on-one with Leon Slater.
What a way to kick off the show.
I don't know if this is going to be opening contest. We don't know if these are in order, but if this is the opening contest, this is going to set the tone for the whole weekend.
That's why I say they need to have this open.
We got some death matches, Ken. We got some real violence on night 1. In a death match, Violento Jack returns to the United States to take on death match legend, the Bulldozer, Matt Tremont.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's the way you can describe that match.
In a tag team death match, the king of Wreck Shit Mountain, Cole Radrick, tags with the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch, to take on Harada and Segura.
Oh, God.
Coming over from Freedoms. This is going to be interesting. The Freedoms GCW war is still rolling strong.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another death match, if you will, because it's a double dog collar match. The team of the Bad Boy, Joey Janela and Sawyer Wreck, will finally end their feud with the Maniac, Charles Mason, and his dog of war, if you will, Perro.
Oh, this is going to get absolutely out of control.
Oh, there's one more. There's 2 more death matches on the card. Technically, we'll get to them later. But before we talk about those, let's talk about one of the things that GCW does well. 6-man mixing the line violent lucha match. Ooh. Because on one side, we got Crazy King and Los Macizos, which is the whole Los Macizos, Ciclope and Miedo Extremo, taking on Thrushy, Alley Catch, Effie, and of course, the legendary High Priestess of the Church of Pro Wrestling, the Dark Sheik, returns.
Oh, I can't wait to see this one.
Next up, in what they should just call the greatest 6-way scramble match ever. Ready for it?
Okay.
Gringo Loco takes on Arez, takes on Commander, takes on El Hijo del Vikingo, takes on the Sauce Alex Zane, takes on returning from Japan, Kamikaze Ninja Mac.
Okay, so when we say don't blink, we mean this match. And if you are sitting anywhere in the first couple rows, be on the lookout because they're going to be flying all over that ring, and I am here for it.
Next up, Game Changer Wrestling Ultraviolent Championship will be on the line. Your champion, Rina Yamasha, goes one-on-one with Takashi Sasaki.
Ooh.
It's going to be a great matchup.
Ooh, that's going to be great.
And your main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, this match is literally 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
Because in a tag team death match, the king and queen of the death match, self-proclaimed of course, Matt Cardona and Steph DeLander take on Maki Death Kill, Maki Ito, and the man, the king, the god of this, Nick effing Gage, in the main event. It all started 3 years ago. Main event of Homecoming, Cardona versus Gage, where Cardona, despite losing a ton of blood, defeated Nick Gage for the Game Changer Wrestling World Championship and stamped his label of being the Indie God. Nick Gage is ready to take that Indie God title off of Matt Cardona, and he's ready for Matt Cardona and Steph DeLander to pay in their blood. What are you thinking about the main event of night 1 of Homecoming?
3 years in the making. We have to put this in perspective, too. If you're not familiar with GCW, this was the night they got put on the map. I mean, they had always had that internet buzz about being the next company, but when Matt Cardona came in to do a death match, the vibe at the showboat, the vibe at home watching, you knew you were watching history. And seeing how the storytelling unfolded that night and the internet reaction, let alone you were in attendance.
I was there
for that. Yeah,
I was there. I got the beer on me as the people were pelting the ring with full drinks even.
Exactly. I mean, no Plant fans.
Oh, yes. Originally, Plant fans. No, they weren't Plants. There was real emotion in that room. I've been to WrestleMania. The electricity in that room, obviously not as many people as a WrestleMania because there's probably about 1,500 to 2,000 people in that room. Mm-hmm. The electricity in that room was like WrestleMania, and everybody was there to see the death of Matt Cardona. And, when that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it kickstarted the next phase of GCW and the momentum they took and ran with it. And even Matt Cardona, too, because let's face it.
It took Matt Cardona, it killed Zack Ryder.
Yeah.
It took Zack Ryder away, and we introduced the world to Matt Cardona, which I think is, for better or for worse, is great.
Oh, yeah,
It's been great for independent wrestling. The fact that he calls himself the Indie God, I have no problems with. He's gone and elevated every indie company he's been in. Mm-hmm. I know it's gonna. I don't want to take away the allure of it, but behind the scenes, they're going to be a better guy.
Yeah.
So, he's helping young talent. He's out there putting over young talent. He's given the rub to these small companies, and he's done this without complaining one bit. Mm-hmm. Of course, the persona is great. The heel persona is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, no, he has done phenomenal work, and this really put him on the map, too. So, noting how we're revisiting history and taking it now to a different place, this is going to be something special to watch. So, if you needed any kind of further push to go get this pay-per-view on Fight, this is it right here. You're going to be watching history repeat itself.
So earlier in that day, or so the next day, Sunday, also from Atlanta, all this is from the showboat at Atlantic City, Game Changer Wrestling's, what is it, little brother company, if you will, the NXT to GCW's WWE, if you will.
However
you want to describe it.
Developmental, but
Jersey Championship Wrestling, and this is scheduled on Fight Plus. I don't know if they're still going to be showing it on the Game Changer Wrestling YouTube channel, or maybe they're switching it all over to Fight Plus, but it is on Fight Plus's schedule. So at noon Eastern time on Fight Plus, Jersey Championship Wrestling presents Dog Day Afternoon on Sunday, the 20th of August. Ready to talk about it?
Absolutely.
First up, ready? The return of Matt Mikowski.
Oh.
And as we know, Matt Mikowski, a hell of a wrestling machine, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Well, he better be, because he's going one-on-one with Alex Coughlin.
Oh, damn.
They bring in Alex Coughlin and Matt Mikowski. This is going to be a great match. Next up, 8-man tag team extravaganza as Bam Sullivan, Gabriel Sky, and Wasted Youth, Dylan McKay, and Marcus Mathers will take on the team of Brogan Finley, Donnie Primetime, Hunter Drake, and Rico Gonzalez. This is a great young 8-man tag.
Great showcase.
Next up, in a tag team match, main event, Jay Lyons and Midas Black go against Yo Beast, Beastman, and Yo-Ya. That's going to be a fun one.
That's going to be real fun.
Next, Kevin Blackwood makes his return to Jersey Championship Wrestling in the East Coast as he takes on the one called Manders from Second Gear Crew.
Ooh, that's going to be real good.
For the Battle Bowl ring in a ladder match. Because remember, there was a little controversy there. The East Coast Beast, Alec Price, goes against our boy, one half of the Rip City Shooters, Big Joshua Bishop.
Let's go.
And in the main event of the evening, Young, Dumb, and Broke explodes as the East Coast Ace, your Jersey Championship Wrestling champion, Jordan Oliver, defends his title against former Young, Dumb, and Broke teammate, Griffin McCoy.
Ooh.
He won the rights.
Yeah.
Going to have the match. It's going down this Sunday for Jersey Championship Wrestling. But it ain't over yet, Ken, because at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also on Fight Plus, Game Changer Wrestling returns with Homecoming Night 2. This is on Sunday the 20th as well. Are you ready to talk about it?
Let's do it.
Dragon Kid is making his long-awaited return to Game Changer Wrestling, and Dragon Kid will go one-on-one with Commander. That match you're not going to want to miss. Next up, Maki Ito takes on Becca.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the cutest in the room against the world's biggest pop singer.
Yeah.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win? I mean, Becca's got a little bit of an advantage. Maki Ito's in a death match the night before.
Yeah.
Next up, Game Changer Wrestling World Tag Team Championships will be on the line as the East-West Express, Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne, defend their titles against Taseki, Sasaki, and Harada. So the Freedoms boys are coming after them tag titles.
Interesting.
Next up, in a tag team match, ready for it? Making his long-awaited return again, Dante Leone returns to Game Changer Wrestling, and he tags with Ninja Kamikaze Mac to take on the East Coast Beast, Alec Price, and his tag team partner, the King of Wreck Shit Mountain, Cole Radrick.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Dante's been gone for so long.
Listen, Rena is on double duty this weekend. Game Changer Wrestling Ultra Violent Championship on the line. Your champion, as long as she retains the night before, Rena Yamasha goes one-on-one with Violento Jack.
Oh, whoa.
And in what will possibly be the main event of the evening for the Game Changer Wrestling World's Heavyweight Championship, your champion, All Heart Blake Christian, defends the title against the woman he stole the belt from. That's right, Masha Slamovich gets her revenge on Blake Christian. Can she take the title off of the champion, or will Blake find a way to weasel another championship defense out?
Blake will find a way to weasel because Jey Uso is going to show up.
Jey Uso, new Game Changer Wrestling champion.
Mark it here first.
That's right. And then the internet can go nuts and say how Brett Lauderdale is in bed with the WWE. Again.
Yeah.
Well, all that great action is coming to you on Fight Plus, $7.99 a month. Make sure you check out Fight Plus. They're awesome. We're not just saying that because they're sponsors. We watch it religiously. I love all the great independent wrestling. And of course, we're both huge Game Changer Wrestling fans.
Absolutely.
We do not apologize for it. So it's great that we're going to get the huge homecoming weekend brought to us. This is an event that we used to pay, I do believe, upwards of $30 a weekend for the full weekend for.
Yeah.
You know, just like we used to pay $100 for the collective every year. And now Fight Plus has really made it more affordable at $7.99 a month to get all these great events that GCW puts on. GCW is wrestling at least 3 times a month.
Exactly. You want to know why we give it the praise we do each week. You want to know why it has the buzz that it does. This is one of their signature events. I mean, arguably, this is their WrestleMania.
The only thing that comes close would probably be Joey Janela's Spring Break.
Right. But in context...
It might be bigger,
yeah.
I'm saying.
But for what Homecoming does, it really is a standout event. They haven't faltered any time. And if you want to get into this whole GCW movement, this is the perfect weekend to do it.
And also be prepared for surprises.
Yeah.
There will be surprises.
Legitimately.
There'll be things that you go, oh my God, I can't believe this. You're going to get the best of violence in the death matches you see on. I know death matches aren't for everybody, but turn away when those are on because the regular matches are going to be there. I mean it when I say the greatest 6-man scramble probably ever booked.
Yes.
I mean, that is an official great match. I mean, Masha versus Blake, the story is there. It's going to be a great match. You know, the story with Cardona and Nick Gage adding in DeLander and Ito is going to be phenomenal. The Freedoms versus GCW continuing. The storyline with the double dog collar match with Janela and Rec taking on Mason and Pero. I mean, there's so much great stuff on this card, and I still feel like they're going to add a little bit more to blow you even more away. And that's not even counting the young talent that's going to be on the JCW show that, trust me, you need to get familiar with because these are the kids that are going to be in WWE and AEW in the future. I promise you that much, if not traveling the world for other companies as well. It's phenomenal. Obviously, Nick Wayne, you're already seeing him in All Elite Wrestling.
You see the real Nick Wayne in GCW.
Well, not only that, but listen, him and Jordan Oliver are a great tag team.
Yeah.
Jordan Oliver needs to be in AEW as well. I've been saying that for a while.
Oh, agreed.
And of course, they're also going to be involved, as you know, in the Multiverse show that weekend. So literally, they're going to be leaving Atlantic City after the JCW show and going to Philadelphia, which isn't that far. It's about an hour and a half drive, hour and a half, something like that. It's not that far. But still, listen, man, double duty for them Young Bucks.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the team, the Young Bucks.
Yeah,
We're going to talk about them in a minute, though. So with that, that's going to do it for this week's mid-card. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, we are going to be talking about the build to All In and All Out a little bit for All Elite Wrestling. Is it living up to the hype? Is it falling short? What are our thoughts? You're going to find that out right after this final break.
Take back the crown.
Wrestling fans, are you ready? Let's get ready to rumble!
That's right, it's time to rumble. It is time for the main event of this week's edition of 607 TWS. And of course, we're going to end this show in the main event in the land of the elite, all elite wrestling, because, hey, let's be honest, they're next up for a gigantic pay-per-view because Wembley Stadium is getting closer and closer, Ken. It's right around the precipice. We're almost there. We're a couple weeks out from what they're dubbing as the biggest wrestling show in the history of pro wrestling, or whatever, biggest event in the history of wrestling. Isn't that what's at the top of the list there?
Something in that vein, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And mind you, don't blame them.
Right.
Don't blame them. Take the big bucket of win. It is, I have it right here, the biggest event in wrestling history. You know, of course, they're assuming a lot of things were not reported as right in ticket sales.
Yeah.
The experts online are like, well, you know, the Pontiac Silverdome didn't have, 93,000 people. It was only 79,000. But how do they know that? That's always what I've been questioning. But once again, we're not the ticket sales people. Because if we were, we would always hammer home that point. And that's something that bothers me online. And I want to make this statement here because the first thing that really got the ticket sales buzz was this Wembley show, right?
Yeah.
Before that, we would hear about, the empty seats, but there was never really a focus on tickets. And then all of a sudden Wembley happens and there's this focus on, Tony Khan bought the tickets and it's not, they didn't sell any of them, which I think is bullshit. I think that people over in England, from what has been reported on the internet from people in the UK, it's like they're just starved for action.
Yeah.
The big show comes. First time AEW's in the United Kingdom, hey, they're showing up and showing love. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's been happening. That happens to them all the time. I mean, look at Arthur Ashe.
Yeah.
First year at Arthur Ashe, it was like, 27,000, 26,000, something like that. It was their biggest show.
Right.
Second year they go back, they're still over 20,000.
Still a win.
It's still a win. I'm not going to say it's not a win, but that's why I said it's a weird world we live in with these ticket sales. And I just want to make this statement. I saw it again online. That, of course, somebody took a picture, and I know it's gotcha moments for both sides, and both sides are wrong here. I just want to explain it one final time. If you believe me or not is irrelevant. It's just the truth, guys. That's all I can bring you, is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And what I want to say is that the hard camera side, where the hard camera is placed, not what the hard camera is shooting, but where the hard camera is placed is the hard camera side. And yes, where the hard camera is blocked off. But that doesn't mean the entire section is blocked off or the entire half of the arena is blocked off. Look at Monday Night Raw, look at SmackDown now, and you'll see that if you really get the close picture, you'll see where they block off a few, like the square area. And then usually so that way people can't touch the camera because that would be bad. And they have a camera guy over there as well. But you got to make sure people don't knock the camera or get in the way of the camera. That's kind of important, right?
Right.
So on bigger shows, they sell. So how wrestling companies sell tickets. This is not reinventing the wheel. This is 100% fact. So when you see the initial sale of tickets, what they do is they open up first the side that the hard camera shoots. So that first, it's like a J shape. So the end bowl around, because we're like a circle, even if it's square, the end, and then where the camera's going to hit. They sell those tickets first. And then as the popularity of the show, if they sell out those ones, they then start selling the other side, right?
Right.
It's a way to make sure that it looks full on camera. AEW has done a wonderful job with this. Their production company, when they first started, I don't think they knew about that little tidbit. And then we would see empty seats. Now, the only time you see them is when we get pictures from the internet, right?
Right.
Listen, it goes back to that secondary company. There's nothing wrong with being number 2 in the States. There's nothing wrong with being Pepsi Cola. I'm sorry, even if you love Pepsi, there's people probably listening right now that love Pepsi. But we got to be honest, Coke is the brand, right? When you think people actually in some parts of the United States and the world, when they talk about soda, period, they call it a Coke.
Yeah.
Even if they're drinking something else, it's a Coke. So WWE is the brand. We said that last week. And there's no shame in that. Just be the best AEW can be. And for fans that are getting mad on the AEW side, just ignore the people putting the pictures up if they're there to rattle you. Who cares? Does it make a difference at the end of the day? Is it ruining your night to see empty seats instead of watching the in-ring work. Come on, guys. That's what we're here for. And for the people putting up the pictures, let it go. For the people counting tickets, and ticket sales don't tell you about the show. I've seen plenty of great shows that had not many people in attendance, okay? It doesn't make the show. The wrestling makes the damn show. That's what we're all here for. So it just gets annoying because then I hear this argument all the time like, well, WWE side is empty too. No, it's not now. Not now.
Not
and then
now.
I love it though. They're the one defense that I really got to tell you guys to stop doing. They'll find pictures from like 2019 when WWE's shows were down, like the attendance were down. They'll show those shows where the side was empty. I'm like, please don't show pictures to defend your stance when WWE's tickets were down, because that's just saying that AEW's tickets are down.
Right.
It's not really a defense. It's the same.
It's the Spider-Man pointing me.
Right. It's the same. Right now, WWE is up. Right now, they have the Bloodline storyline, Cody Rhodes, all that happy jazz, and they're selling out house shows. You know, buildings that AEW runs, and they're, you know, not selling out for television. WWE is running house shows at and selling them out. That's not because they're the better company necessarily. It's just because they are the brand. Guys, it is what it is. There's another, the one thing that AEW, some of it's not even AEW's fault. Ticketmaster has their, there's a specific name for it. Basically, the popularity of the ticket depends on the pricing.
Oh, yeah.
That's something they've been unveiling. So when the tickets go on sale, they're a little higher because they're popular.
Yeah.
And then as the tickets are on sale, like if they get into a lull, they'll make them cheaper. And it's just something that Ticketmaster's doing and messing with tickets. So move more tickets. And it's nothing with WWE or AEW or anybody else. It's just something they're doing. So even when you see these things where it's like, oh, buy one, get one free to an AEW show, and they're shitting on AEW, it's not AEW doing it. It's the venue or Ticketmaster. Got to remember, AEW has no control over that.
Right.
So it's not their fault. The one thing I will say that's AEW's fault is that they have flooded too many markets. They've gone back to the same markets too many times. They, instead of like trying to go to new markets and rotating them through,
They're doing the
like,
same circle.
They've been in Chicago 1.5 million times. To give them credit, they only go to New York City once a year.
Yeah.
Which they probably should do more. Maybe not at Arthur Ashe. Maybe find another venue. You know, always have to do it. I know they do the LBI quite a bit though. You know, which is right outside in Long Island. They do well there because obviously MJF is a big draw in that house. They do Newark pretty often. They do, you know, now they've been doing the Forum pretty often in LA.
Yep.
They do Vegas often. You know, obviously they do the Florida Loop.
Yeah, I was going to say Jacksonville, obviously.
And nothing against it. I get it. You're going back to proven places. But if you would experiment, like I've said it a million times, and it's not just because we live here. I saw them in Albany, which is a bigger building, and they, you know, wasn't full. If they brought AEW Dynamite or Collision to Binghamton in the Broome County Arena, where they used to do WWE events, and there would be enough for them to put 4,000 to 5,000 tickets on sale, even with the setup, and they would sell out.
Yeah.
I promise you. I promise. And there's other places like our town. I'm just using ours as an example.
Right, but
that you would sell out. Yes, they're smaller arenas, but they would be full and they would be loud. I think that's where you go. And WWE, before they got too big for us here in Binghamton, would run televised shows, Raw, primarily, sometimes SmackDown, but mostly Raws, 4 times a year from Binghamton.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute.
You're right.
So it's not a step down. I think that they should investigate doing that because I think that's the one mistake that they have made for ticket sales. But outside of that, guys, ticket sales don't matter.
Right.
And let's focus on the big bucket of win that Wembley is. The only reason I wanted to say that is because I've seen a lot of arguments. I'm tired of seeing the arguments about the damn tickets. I know it's not going to change because most of those people aren't listening to the show. But if anybody wants to clip this and just explain to them, that is just how it works. You sell the tickets on the side that doesn't have the hard camera first, and then you fill out the other side if you can. If you can't, it sucks. But hey, at least if the show is good is all that matters.
Yeah.
And if the show is good and it keeps being good, you're going to sell tickets. If you build it, they will come. The only misstep I can see that AEW has a direct thing in is the fact that they've gone back to the same markets a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's oversaturation.
So you keep going back, they're going to keep going there. What should have proved this to change that marketing for them was Wembley, because first time there, they did it. So we all file this under the ticket edition. Now, let's talk about what's important. And what's important is the wrestling and the build for All In and All Out. Of course, we're not going to go through the full card breakdown, but there's some interesting steps that have happened. Of course, we found out 2 weeks ago when we talked about it on this show, we are going to get the main event of Adam Cole
Baby.
against MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Well, one of them at least.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But that's not it for them, because we found out this week on Dynamite that Adam Cole
Baby.
said to MJF, maybe this isn't big enough. By the way, before we talk about that, the vignette with them at the trampoline park and MJF taking out the children in the dodgeball, loved it.
Best thing they've done.
Loved it. And I also got to say, I loved the line when they're in the ring doing the promos, and all of a sudden MJF goes, oh, you want to do a promo off? And he goes, you look so pale and skinny that if this was the 1980s, Hogan would have snorted you. Greatest line I have ever heard in wrestling ever. And mind you, I like the parts where he went at Roddy Strong later on. But let's be honest, that line about if this was the 80s, Hogan would have snorted you, an amazing line. MJF is God.
Yes.
I'm just throwing it out there. God tier promo. So anyways, during this, we find out that Adam Cole says, hey, listen, I don't want to give up, better than you, baby. So why don't, at the 0 hour of All In, we take on the ROH World Tag Team Champions, because ROH means a lot to me, Aussie Open. Of course, give them a little Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
That's right. And, of course, MJF at first goes, listen, if you would have told me I had to wrestle once a year before, I would have told you, I would have cussed you out of this ring. Mm-hmm. Now, you know what? I'm up for it. So they made the challenge. Aussie Open accepted. So in 0 hour, the free portion before All In, so this goes down at noon Eastern in the States, Eastern time. Over in Britain, I do believe it's 5 p.m. because the show starts at 6 p.m. British time. Mm-hmm. We're going to get Aussie Open versus MJF and Adam Cole. And later that night on All In, your main event will be Adam Cole versus MJF for the AEW World title. Now, from a storyline perspective, Ken, I think this is fun.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to have Adam Cole turn heel, because I think that's where we're going to. Maybe they swerve us, but I think the smart money would be to have Adam Cole turn heel on MJF eventually. Here's what I'm thinking. You have his master plan is have this tag match, make MJF be in the ring long time. MJF is more tired, so when I fight him in the main event, it's an easier win. Mm-hmm. I think that's great storyline.
Storyline-wise, yeah, it makes sense.
Booking-wise, this is ballsy.
Yeah.
Because what if one of these guys goes down with an injury on the pre-show before your main event?
Yeah.
Very ballsy decision. What's your thoughts on MJF and Adam Cole not only being the main event of All In for the title, but now getting a shot at the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships on the 0 hour against Aussie Open?
I concur. I think it's great for storyline, and it plays into the Adam Cole eventual heel turn. But, man, I would not do this at Wembley. Just for the simple fact of it's Wembley. This is your biggest show to date. And you're really rolling the dice, making sure that everybody's going to be healthy going into that match because you never know. So, I mean, me personally, I would not have done it here. I would have done it, maybe on a Dynamite. Maybe I would have done it somewhere else, less profile, just because you're leaving a lot on the line if you don't take care of it. And just, you never know what could happen. I would not do it. I'd be too paranoid.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. Well, since then, we also made it official at All In for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It is officially FTR versus the Young Bucks. Thoughts? I mean, this is a smart play.
It's a smart play. It's a big profile match. Yeah, I mean, it's win. I don't know how to think of it right now, but it's going to be a fun match, and it's definitely going to get the crowd's attention, which, like I say, you want to put your best card together, you can.
That was a match that we have been preaching for a while needs to happen at Wembley.
Yeah.
Just because if this is going to be your best foot forward, if this is going to be your biggest show, that's the match we have to go with. Let's go with other matches that they have announced. So they announced that for the AEW Women's World Championship, they were going to have a 4-way dance at All In. Now, in typical AEW fashion, we had to make this a little more complicated. Mm-hmm. So Toni Storm instantly is going to be in because she invoked her rematch clause, which I thought when they started the company, they said they weren't going to do rematch clauses.
They weren't doing rematch clauses.
But that's okay. Whatever. I get
reasons.
it. But, that's part of wrestling lore.
Sure.
I'm fine with them doing it.
Yeah.
They also got rid of the ranking systems, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, about time.
Thank God. I'm fine with it. So Toni Storm automatically got in. So then we had matches for everybody else, including the champion. So this past week on Dynamite, in the main event, our AEW World's Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida, wow, I almost messed that up, took on Anna Jay for the AEW World's Women's title. Shida comes out as your winner, so she's moving on to All In. Then this past, we watched it tonight on Collision, or Rampage, last night on Rampage. We had Saraya take on Sky Blue. which no-brainer there. Saraya won. In this upcoming week on Dynamite, we will have the return of the Bunny as she takes on Britt Baker for the last spot. I think this is a no-brainer that Britt Baker will be in the match.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand why they just didn't announce that it was going to be Sheeta defending the AEW Women's title against Britt Baker, Saraya, and Toni Storm at All In. I get that it gives you some content, but it was really no tease because it wasn't really competition. We didn't bring out the best guns, in my opinion. Like, all the matches that they used to set up, the three, you knew it was going to happen. You knew Anna Jay wasn't going to beat Sheeta for the world title.
Right.
I mean, if they really wanted to shock the world, sure, but I didn't think that was going to happen, especially right around the corner from a big event. You know, Sky Blue they've been building her up, but she's been losing. She's one of the few people who's been losing to the Outcast.
Yeah.
And it's England. It's a no-brainer. Saraya's in this match. Toni Storm, fine. Got that. That was the one that was done right. The Bunny is just returning from injury.
Right.
Literally first match back on Dynamite against Britt Baker for the spot. Britt Baker is the face of your women's division. I mean, I guess you could have the Bunny win to swerve us all, but let's be honest, they're not going to. And even if they do, then that opens up a whole nother, like, well, she just came back from injury. Why is she getting an opportunity? Why isn't like a Willow Nightingale getting that opportunity? Or Mercedes Martinez? Or Diamante even? You know? Or Chris Statlander, your TBS champion.
Yeah.
You know, we just saw them in a match on Collision, those four, in a tag match.
Great match, too.
And it was a great match. My point of the matter is there's so much talent in the AEW. We saw Athena and Willow Nightingale tear the house down at Ring of Honor in the main event, right? Why aren't we getting more of this talent going up against the stars of the women's division? And if you're not going to do that, why not just make it the four-way up front? That's my only criticism. I'm fine with the four-way, by the way.
Right.
I want to go on record. I'm fine with the four-way.
Yeah, but the path to get there was unnecessary, in my opinion. I think they telegraphed it too much because this is all pointing to Saraya winning the belt.
I'll be surprised if she doesn't.
Yeah.
When we do the breakdown, I don't think much is going to change. But my point of the matter is I just don't understand why, when we made this set of matches, I get trying to build interest, but you're not really building any suspense, in my opinion.
No, there was no possibility. Like I say, they could pull the swerve with the Bunny, which that would be a swerve.
It would be a swerve. I don't know if it's smart, though.
But you know you're going to load that card up with your stars.
I mean, the only way you do that is if you end up doing Britt versus Chris Statlander. Or if you do a real Hail Mary and have the reason the Bunny wins is because of Thunder Rosa, who might be cleared to come back, because I know she was cleared for in-ring. They did some in-ring exercises with her to see if she's ready to come back this past week. That did hit the news wire, and she confirmed it. So therefore, she is close to coming back. I don't know what happened there, but she's got to be close to coming back. So if she's ready to come back, there could be a possibility where she costs Britt Baker the match, so we get Britt versus Thunder at Wembley, which would be fine. I'm fine with that.
That would make sense.
That's the big feud, because there's a lot of based in real life, and there's a lot, you know, and obviously they have great chemistry in the ring, as we've seen in their classics. In the like, let's be honest, one of the greatest women's matches in AEW and possibly history, St. Patty's Day brawl there. It was a great match. You know, the only things that maybe surpassed that is like talking about like Charlotte versus Rhea at WrestleMania, you know, and a few other matches, but, and, you know, Sasha and Bayley, you know, takeovers matches.
Yeah.
So like the elite of the elite, but they're up there with those conversations, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that would make the most sense to do it depending on what Thunder Rosa's doing, or even, you know, if you're going to do this, you got to put Thunder Rosa, if she's clear to go, against Chris Statlander.
I agree. That's why I'm just saying it's just kind of weird to me that they just didn't say this is the four-way we're doing.
Yeah, I think they wanted to make it feel more prestigious, but there was no need for it.
I get it. You're trying to build excitement and suspense, but
Yeah.
you're not really, because we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you got to not telegraph it so much. Let's get some more talent on there where we could go, ooh, because Willow's been beating people. So if you would have put Willow against, Britt Baker, for example, and you might go, oh shit, Willow's pulled it off before when we didn't think it was going to happen. Maybe this time's the same.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. Just one man's opinion. Next up in a match that got confirmed, we have Sting and Darby Allin taking on Swerve Strickland and A.R. Fox. On the surface, I don't have a problem with this match. Let's be honest, Darby's one of the most over characters in all of AEW and has been for a while. Sting is a legend. Why wouldn't you have him on the card? Listen, Swerve Strickland and A.R. Fox, since he's turned heel, they've done some great promos.
Amazing
They've
stuff.
done some vignettes. I'm loving their heel life, right? Mm-hmm. My only problem with this match is the way that we're setting up for this match was that Swerve and A.R. Fox went to Nick Wayne's training gym,
Right.
bloodied him up, then called Darby on the phone. Told Darby, this is on you. The blood's on you. And then in retort, we get Darby saying, me and Sting are going to beat you guys up at Wembley. Once again, I understand how we're getting there. It's just the story is kind of like, why wouldn't you just jump Sting? Or if you're going to, I love the vignette, by the way. I think that was one of the best things I've seen on TV.
Yeah, when they did
the Nick Wayne beatdown and him bloodying him up. I thought that was amazing. So don't take that away. I just think it's weird that was the auspices to get us to Sting and Darby versus Swerve and AR instead of like Nick Wayne being involved somehow.
I thought they did a major miscue, in my opinion, with how Darby confronted the entire Mogul embassy and the lights went out. And he goes, yeah, I have friends too. I thought this would have been perfect to have the House of Black be with him. But instead, we have Sting at this stage fighting off everybody.
I get the Darby Allin thing.
Yeah.
Because him and Darby have a close relationship.
Sure.
Darby's been a mentor. Darby was out there. Darby's the guy that gave him the contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And got him the contract, really. So I get that portion of it. It's just like, I would have liked to see Nick Wayne a little more involved.
Me too.
If the reason why we're getting here is because of the beatdown, the home invasion pretty much, and beatdown of Nick Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, my thing was just Sting fighting off everybody by himself.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Well, that happens every time.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like at this stage, can we mix something up? But you know what? I'm happy with Swerve and AR getting some prime time.
They're getting the rub.
Yeah, as they should. Swerve as a heel is absolute money. I hope he's on TV a lot more. I hope he gets a belt at some stage soon because he's that damn good. So I'm just hoping they catapult from this into something else. But yeah, the road to get here was a little bumpy.
We're in complete agreement about, what's going on there. But yeah, I just thought it was a little bumpy. But I'm not complaining.
Right.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to complain because, listen, I get it. Sting's got to be on this card.
Yeah.
And Darby Allin's got to be on this card. And it's good that we're going to get a rub for Swerve and AR. Mm-hmm. That's good. I just thought it was weird that we made this big jump.
We took the scenic route.
We took a big jump here. And a great vignette.
Yeah.
I just really thought that maybe do a 6-man. Just somehow I think Nick Wayne should have been involved. Or maybe Nick Wayne and Darby Allin with Sting in their corner. And then you can just have Sting get involved.
Yeah, because I know they're having the tag match with Darby and Nick this week against...
the Gates of Agony.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gates of Agony are coming up to take on Darby and Nick Wayne. So I'm just kind of like... That's why I'm kind of like, I wish it was those two and then Sting outside and then let Sting get involved.
Yeah.
Because that's all we want to see is Sting get involved. We don't need him in the match for that. Because, I mean, let's be honest. Last time we saw him no-sell a 630 through a table through a floor.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But I get it. It's Sting.
Right.
He's a legend. He's an icon. He deserves it. I mean, it's a no-brainer to put him on the card. So it's not like I'm upset about the booking.
Right. It's
just how we got there. Now let's jump into the weeds a little bit. There is some speculation out there. Oh, actually, before we jump in the weeds, one last thing that's not speculation. Darby Allin, we know, has got the first announced match for All Out, too. Darby Allin is getting a shot at the TNT title, which is currently held by Luchasaurus or Christian Cage, depending. Christian Cage holds the belt, but the real champion is Luchasaurus. We all know that. But that's going to happen at All Out. We found that out. That is official.
Yeah.
So Darby Allin's involved in two feuds at the same time. It's kind of interesting. Next week on Collision, Darby Allin will be taking on Christian Cage in a one-on-one match. But on Dynamite, he'll be tagging with Nick Wayne to go against Gates of Agony, which they're members of the Mogul Embassy. So it's like he's doing double duty in storylines.
It's confusing.
And it's confusing as hell. And it makes it even worse because it's not like a Collision versus Dynamite storyline either. Because Luchasaurus and Christian are on both shows, as we've seen, especially with that great promo with Christian's daughter. Tell me how great that was, by the way. Keel heat like you would not believe. And then on the other end of it, Darby's on every show. And so isn't Nick Wayne and Sting. Like, they're not,
they're
banished
not
to one product or another. You know what I mean? So it's not really like, oh, we're telling this story on this channel and this story on this channel. And even if you were, that's still confusing.
Yeah.
So I think it's just weird. And I understand Darby's a popular property. And he won that battle royal, which gave him the right. I get it. But we could, let's clean up some stuff a little bit because I don't think we should be splitting Darby's time like that.
Yeah.
Personally. That's just me. It's real puzzling to me also that we're getting Wheeler Yuta versus Orange Cassidy on Dynamite instead of at All In. I feel like that's an All In match, personally. I feel like the international title is probably, well, not only is it named the international title, but I think it's also the most prestigious title in AEW currently.
It's right behind the world title.
I would say I would put it above the world title right now. Here's my argument. The world title hasn't been defended much. The international belt has been defended pretty much every week by Orange Cassidy in high-profile matches. It's the belt that's vocalized. The TNT title they've played hot potato with. And and we're just talking about men's titles. We're not talking about the tag titles.
Yeah, I was going to say the FTW title doesn't matter.
It's not a recognized title, but that's why I'm not even going to include it. So we're just talking TNT, international, and world title. And I could even argue that it takes a step above the tag titles, only up until when FTR won them back. Because FTR has done a good job. They defended them 2 weeks in a row even.
Yeah.
So giving them credit there. But I just think Orange has put that belt over and it deserves. Now maybe this is going to lead to something bigger at All In, so I'm just going to hope for that. Now let's get in the weeds, Ken, because now we have a match for All Out that's official. We just told you all the official news from All In. Now let's talk about some of the rumors running around the internet. Running wild, brother. And take these with a grain of salt because they're just rumors. First rumor, the most logical thing ever, and we talked about it before. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay 3 for the new IWGP United Kingdom title in London. They fought in Japan, their secondary home for both of them. They fought in Canada, which is Kenny's home. Logically, you fight in England, right? At the biggest wrestling show in England history, right?
Yep.
But no, we're not getting this. Now, mind you, I cannot put this on AEW because maybe it's not AEW's call. Maybe this is a New Japan call. It seems weird to me for them to make that call, but it could be. They could be like, no, we're getting the third match.
Yeah.
I get it. But still, the rumored match is Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And I get Chris Jericho is a star. He should be on the card. But when you were going to give me Omega Ospreay, and now you're replacing it with Jericho Ospreay, one of these things is not like the other. Your thoughts?
It's the power of
By the way, rumor.
It's the power of Don Callis security. Because whatever deal he hooked up in Canada, that's what's tying this all together.
Well, one way or another. Either Jericho's going to join the Don Callis family, or he's not, and then he's going to be like, hey, Will Ospreay, you owe me. Take out Chris Jericho.
That's what I think we're going to get. I think Jericho's going to snub him, and this will be like a face turn for Jericho. And we kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean, they had a home run all locked up, and in my opinion, I think this will still be a good match, but when you're having the biggest show of your company's career, you got to load it up with the best of the best.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like I said, I'm like, I can't blame AEW because I don't know.
Right.
It could be New Japan stopping this. So that brings us to another big high-profile rumor match. We are first hearing it was going to be Takeshita versus Omega, which is the storyline they've been working. We're like, okay, even though we're not getting Omega Ospreay, Takeshita Omega, it's a built-in storyline. Good stuff.
Yep.
Now there's a rumor. Once again, these are all rumors, so we're getting in the weeds a little bit with rumors. And now there's a rumor that it's going to be a 6-man tag match. On one side, you're going to have the Golden Lovers, so Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, tagging with Hangman Page, so a member of the Elite, so the Golden Elite, also Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, former AEW World Tag Team Champions.
Yep.
Long story there. Obviously, Golden Lovers, long story there. So I have no problem with that side. But on the other side, we're going to have Juice Robinson and Switchblade Jay White from Bullet Club Gold, and they're going to be tagging with Takeshita.
Yeah.
And that makes no sense because what about the Don Callis family? Why wouldn't we just introduce maybe 2 more members of the Don Callis family? Also, if you're going to go against Bullet Club Gold, there's 4 members now.
Yeah.
Because you have the Guns, you have Juice, you have Jay White, and you could always introduce another one. It's just to me kind of like, and once again, I'm not upset about seeing, if this is the case, I'm not upset about that match. As far as the match in ring, you have Page, Ibushi, and Omega taking on Takeshita, Jay White, and Juice Robinson. 6 very capable guys. The match is probably going to be incredible. It's just getting there. You know what I mean? Does that?
Yeah.
Like I guess the biggest thing we could say in this main event is it's not the matches because I think the show is going to be great and the matches are fine, but it's how we get there. And then I have a secondary worry that we're going to talk about at the end.
Yeah, it's
disconnected to that.
It's just a big it's a big scenic route. That's the only way you can describe it. It's not making a lot of sense of how they're getting there unless they do something like Don Callis is now going to be the manager of Bullet Club Gold, which
Takeshita's in Bullet Club Gold, so it's not the Don Callis family anymore or whatever. I could see that.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Just put a Band-Aid on it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's messy.
And then last but not least, and this is a match that I can't say that's rumored because it looks like it's going to happen, Samoa Joe versus CM Punk for the Real World Championship.
Yeah.
And I do not like the fact that they call it the Real AEW World Championship because technically speaking, MJF is your champion. And CM Punk, yes, never lost the belt, but it was stripped from him.
Right.
So therefore, I get why you're doing it because of the two different shows. That's fine. But now you're going to have both belts defended on the same night, and you're calling one of them the real world championship
Yeah.
and not putting it in quotations. That should be the whole gimmick. It's in quotations real. Because technically, yes, you didn't lose it, but you were stripped of it. So the real belt, the real lineage is MJF. And eventually we have to take care of that business. It doesn't have to happen that night. Could happen at All Out. Could happen at, Full Gear, whatever, or later on. But still, I just think it's sloppy. Now, with that match, let's be honest. Match that's Fight Forever. The original Fight Forever, as far as our generation's concerned.
Yeah.
However, we just saw this match a month ago in the Owen Hart tournament. If this is where you were going to go for All In, I really think they shouldn't have done that match a month ago,
It's too soon.
in my opinion.
It's too soon.
I'm not complaining about the match again.
Right, but
It's a little sloppy getting here. And now it kind of looks like we might be getting Ricky Starks as the manager of Samoa Joe.
yeah.
That's kind of what they're teasing, and I'm fine with that. It's adding in it. But then I wish they wouldn't have had Samoa Joe challenge CM Punk until after the Ricky Starks match and Ricky Starks got suspended. Because that would make more sense. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
last week, when Samoa Joe made the challenge, that was too soon. They should have waited till this week or just had him attack CM Punk like he did this week on Collision. So that way, then later on, we can find out, hey, Ricky Starks, I got suspended, but CM Punk, I got something for your ass.
Yeah.
He's going to take that title off of you.
Yeah, just how we got here. And especially, it's too much too soon. I think I understand why they're doing this, and it makes sense on the business standpoint, but I think storyline-wise, it's just too much too soon. We don't have a proper build to it, and I will say this will be like one maybe misfire they do on Collision thus far.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that's completely on Collision.
Right,
I think that they just didn't think the steps out. I think they were just trying to get to point B without thinking about, or point C, sorry, without thinking about point B.
Yeah.
It happens. Here's the thing. Here's my biggest concern. And I know it sounds like we're down. We're not down. I think
No,
it's going to
it's
be a
gonna be
great
a great
card.
card.
Here's the thing. The fact is you're booking the show for me and for wrestling fans like me. The problem is we need to be booking the show for everybody.
Yeah.
This is the big coming out party. This is the gigantic show. This is the show where all eyes should be on it. This is the show we've said for a little while now that, hell, if you could, put it on HBO Max or whatever the hell you want to call it now, because the masses would see it. And then this would get eyes on your product. I mean, maybe that WBD doesn't want to do that. That's fine. But still, give people a reason to buy $50. For you and I can, and for and a lot of the people who listen to this show, we're watching a lot of different wrestling. We're fans of all these different wrestling. So when I hear that I'm going to get to see Kenny Omega team with Kota Ibushi and Hangman Page to take on Takeshita and Jay White and Juice Robinson, I don't need a storyline. I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a match I want to see. When I hear CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, this is a match I want to see. When I hear, FTR versus the Young Bucks, I don't need a story. This is just a match I want to see. But what is drawing people into the product is coherent storytelling. And right now, in my opinion, the only real coherent story for All In is MJF versus Adam Cole.
Baby.
And am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, that's the only one that fans are talking about for the right reasons, because it's got a great build. And you're now hooking people into watching it. It has slowly become your best storyline, and you should be modeling everything else you're doing after it, because it's got build, it's got connection to the fans on that weird emotional level.
And I got to give credit. AEW must be listening, because we said, hey, listen, stop announcing matches the week of or, 10 days out. Let's start announcing them early. And they did. They started a month early. So giving them credit. But once again, you got to give some substance with that credit. What they're giving us is the sizzle. They're not giving us the steak.
Right.
And that's my fear for Wembley. As a wrestling fan, I want this show to live up to that moniker, the biggest event in pro wrestling history. I want it to live up to, people at home, hopefully you've listened this long. I want it to be the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I want it to be 80,000 people in Wembley or more. But 80,000 is where we're at pretty much now. I think they're at like 78 or 79,000 last
Something
night I
like
saw
that,
a check. So I'm just going to say 80. I want to see 80,000 plus in Wembley. I want to see them loud. I want to see them screaming. And I want to see the best show you can sink your teeth into. But my fears are, yes, for wrestling fans like you and I, and for probably a lot of you that listen to this show, we're looking at this card going, oh man, this is good. This is good. But Joe Casual down the street, And I understand people are like, well, why do we care what casual fans? Because you need to bring new fans in.
Yeah.
What's getting them excited? And let's be honest, if anything that the Bloodline or the Judgment Day or WWE, what they're doing with Cody Rhodes has proved anything, is when people can attach themselves to a story, they will spend the money and they will come. Think about it. Why are house shows selling out? Because Cody Rhodes is main eventing the house shows. So I guess the story was good, right? It's not just because Cody Rhodes great in the ring, which he is.
Right, but
People are invested in the story of Cody Rhodes, and people are invested in the fact that they think that he got screwed over at WrestleMania, and people are invested in the fact that he got bullied by Brock Lesnar and he overcome that bully and he earned the respect of the biggest bully in the yard. They want to see hashtag finish that story. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That is why people are coming to the house shows and other great wrestling too. But let's be honest, Cody Rhodes, if you ask fans, are the reason they're showing up. Why are people engaged in the pay-per-views? And whether you like it or not is irrelevant, but people are engaged because the Bloodline's closing the night.
Right.
Why are people, excited for, Monday Night Raw, which Monday Night Raw ratings are up because we're getting great stories with the Judgment Day, plus you have Cody Rhodes.
Right.
And now possibly LA Knight and The Miz. Oh, wow, big bucket of win there. Friday nights have been doing through the roof. The Bloodline's there.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the other great wrestlers. Mind you, everybody else is there and doing their parts, but you have the anchor stories to bring the people in, and then everything else is secondary, folks. And that's how it should be. In AEW, they haven't gotten that formula. And like I said, I'm loving this card. Just give me some reason to care about it. We had a great vignette with Swerve and AR Fox, but then it led to a match where I'm not, other than the fact that, yes, there is a connection between Darby Allin and Nick Wayne, but most people don't know about that connection. He was just there to defend his buddy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense with the match. And it was a great vignette. Maybe they take out Nick Wayne at this show. Maybe they build on it. That's fine. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt till we get there. Obviously, we're not breaking down the entire card. We're just talking about the build for the card. So hopefully next week when we break this all down, Ken, we're talking about, hey, listen, in a week, they gave us some story. They gave us the steak.
Yeah.
They saved the steak for last. Okay, that's fine. Right now, the sizzle's there for me as a wrestling fan. I'm definitely excited for this card. But Ken, anything you want to say in closing about AEW and where the storylines are going as we go into All In and All Out?
No, I agree with it. I wish we had a little more substance to it, but by the time we get to show date, it will be good. And I think everybody should definitely check this card out.
Absolutely. And Tony Khan, if you would like to take our invitation, it's been 2 months and 1 week since we invited you to come on the show. You or actually any other member of the inner circle of AEW, because we have some questions we would like to know, and we will provide them early for you. And yes, I know it means that, some people might come over here and listen. That's fine. But there's just really questions I think the world that wants to know as well. Like I said, we're not here to be assholes. We are here to we're criticized, but we give our opinions, and we always give our opinions with a little attitude to it. So if you want to take that advice or whatever, that's fine. I'm just saying, hey, the emails, it's, we've had correspondence before. Let's try to make something happen just so we can understand everything a little better, especially like coming into things like this.
Yeah, you guys, we know that you know how to get a hold of us. So, we'll be waiting for that response this week.
Yeah. Well, speaking of it, I think it's time now that we're done with the main event segment. Before we close out, we did promise the people who want to hear it, we have a relatively big announcement.
Yes.
So this is going to be the first time announcing this, so let's see how well I can do this. So this there's been an idea been popped around for a while between us and a very credible upstart company on the internet. We'll get into that in a second. I know I'm teasing. I'm trying to drag it out. We're trying to do some good radio here. We're doing some good storytelling, right? So anyways, there's been some up stuff. Ken M has been working with them for comics for a little while now. So some people might be putting dots together that listen to us outside of the 607 TWS world. So originally there was a little overture that we might take 607 TWS to this place to, make it happen. But at the same time, I thought, we've been doing this for a long time. We've got a lot of traction here. Moving it to somewhere else, I didn't think was the greatest of ideas. Plus, we do things a little differently here. And when we're talking to go into a bigger audience doesn't necessarily want to always hear about New Japan Pro Wrestling. They don't always want to hear about the independents. They don't always want to hear about Impact. A lot of people just care about AEW and WWE, one or the other or both. You know what I mean? Am I wrong?
No, you're right on the money.
So it's kind of like this is not necessarily a perfect fit, especially if you're trying to start wrestling content for your company. So over time, there was some, I've been kind of tossing back and forth ideas, and about a week ago or so, maybe 2 weeks, me and Ken sat down and I was like, hey, this is kind of an idea I have. I have an idea to, do a show. We'll do a show for them, and we'll do a weekly show, and then we'll start doing some pre-show and post-shows of pay-per-views. And we can start to build the brand, and as the brand builds out, we can help them build that brand out, and then we can spurn off of that. So we had a meeting on Friday, and it went very well.
Yes.
So we're recording on a Saturday, so Friday. It went so well, in fact, that as of, we don't have a date yet because we have a tentative one that we're working towards, but there is no rush. Great support from the staff over there, so I'm trying to take that into account. But as of this Friday, I along with Ken M, are going to be heading up the Nerd Initiative wrestling content.
Yep.
So Nerd Initiative, go over to nerdinitiative.com. We are going to be partnering with them on their YouTube channel, which is Nerd Initiative on YouTube. And we are going to be starting and creating the wrestling content for Nerd Initiative Wrestling, including we will be doing a weekly show, which will be out every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will be a live stream on the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel, and we will be talking AEW and WWE, as those are the two flagships. And it'll be myself and Ken M, and we will probably be joined by another member, a rotating member of what we're calling our Nerd Initiative Wrestling Dojo. So it's a very exciting time. I'm very excited to be a part of this new project and taking off and helping a upstart brand. Well, they've been doing things, and Ken's been doing big things with the comic books. It's really started to take off, and it's kind of awesome to be on one of the lower levels coming into building something, especially with the wrestling content being on the ground level. And I'm super excited about it. Ken, what's your thoughts about us joining Nerd Initiative Wrestling?
Yeah, this has been something to kind of piggyback off of what Rich was saying. A little over a year, they've been making a lot of waves in the pop culture content. And over time, there has been a growing increase of wrestling content inquiries that we've had a lot of people that have been supporting the site saying, hey, are you guys going to cover this? Are you going to do any live shows, what such? And the idea got floated out this summer, and the feedback was very, very positive. There was a big demand for it, and Michael and Tony and the rest of the team over at Nerd Initiative wanted to reach out and talk to Rich and myself about what we could do for the brand. And obviously, if you've been following the comic book realm, you know that we have made a huge dent in comic reviews, comic coverage, and everything that you need to know, including our live stream show on Tuesday nights, Turn a Page. So we're bringing some of that magic in the land of pro wrestling, and we had the big meeting on Friday, so it is official that there is going to be wrestling content coming to Nerd Initiative. So if you're not following right now, nerdinitiative.com, I have a link right on odphpodcast.com. So if you need to get over there, drop that subscribe. You definitely don't want to miss it, and it will be coming soon. We have a tentative date that we want to get it up and running by, but we want to make sure we do it right. So stay tuned, drop that follow now, and get ready, because if you're not, trust us, we have a lot of things in store, and it's going to be big, and you definitely want to take notice.
So as far as your 607 TWS audience, we just want to let you know we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're staying put.
607 TWS will still be bringing you, the takes that you're used to, the opening bout, the mid-card, the main event, but we are probably going to be able to shorten the shows a little bit, which is nice, because we'll be giving you that extra content elsewhere that we hope you're tuning into. So when we start, especially, we are going to be doing pre-show and post-shows for every major pay-per-view and PLE for AEW and WWE. So we will no longer technically be breaking them down here on 607 TWS. We'll talk about them as the build-up like we just did with AEW for All In, but we might not be breaking down the entire card. What we might be doing instead is diving into more of the things that you guys have been asking us to dive into. That means maybe more deep dives into Impact Wrestling or New Japan. It means maybe talking more about some of the news and dispelling rumors and doing the things that I know a lot of you guys like to hear us do. And sometimes, we've even been told, hey, we want you to kind of bring back when you used to go off and talk about just random subjects from the past or whatever. That's going to free that up on the show. It's also going to clean it up, because I know some weeks, because the wrestling realm has a lot of news and we're trying to chuck it all in, this show it reaches 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I get it. And I know that you guys, the most of you guys who are listening and have been with us for a while, thank you. You guys like it, and you've told us, whatever. But I feel like getting it down to an hour and a half and giving you more of what you want to hear with more of our takes on the actual things going on is going to be better, because with doing pre and post game shows, you can tune in and still get that complete breakdown, but you can tune in for us doing it there. And that when that starts launching, we'll get more specific about it. But like the pre-shows will be on early enough in the day that it won't affect, watching the show. So even if you work, you can come home, watch our pre-show, and then watch the pre-show for the actual event, and then watch the event. And then after the event's over, if you want to get it that night, 15 minutes after the event's over, we're going to be doing the post-show wrap, talking about the whole show. But if you want to go to bed, because sometimes these end late, I get it. The next day, you can watch it on YouTube, or even throw your earphones in and listen to it on YouTube. And we may even make those available through the 607 TWS feed for the shows we're on, because we've been talking about that as well. Probably not for the Wednesday show, because that would be kind of redundant, because you guys would hear us talk a lot about some of the same things, if you will. Not all the same things, but some of the same things, because we will just be deep diving on AEW and WWE. And so that we can tell you that it will be Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not going to give out the name yet, which we do have a name. We are working on the logos. Well, we have somebody working on logos currently.
Yeah.
So the Nerd Initiative Wrestling logo will be done sometime, not too distant future, and so won't the name of the show one. Then we will reveal both of them. And then as we feel comfortable that we have everything in line, because obviously working for a company that is legit,
yes,
and it's a bigger company, there's actually people above us. There's people who actually, this will be a produced show. It won't, I understand I produce the shows here, and you guys are kind of used to that, but this will be a show that's actually produced by somebody else. I mean, obviously I'll have a play into it, and Ken will have his opinions on it, and we'll be shaping it. We're in control of it. However, and I'm technically in control of all of it, but at the same point in juncture, we're going to, have somebody else giving the cool stuff, so we'll be able to come on here and really just dive in and focus on the conversation and not have to worry about, oh, we need to change this screen, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. Like in the past when we did live streams ourselves. So it's going to be a big bucket of win all the way around. And it's going to open up more content for you, the viewer. Hopefully you'll enjoy the content. And then we're going to provide more content, because we have more content creators who want to make great wrestling content. So as we roll out the ball, it's going to be great. So Nerd Initiative Wrestling is a thing. Make sure you're, subscribing over on YouTube. It's Nerd Initiative on YouTube. I know Ken's got all the links up on his website. I'm going to be updating my website with all the stuff. I'm just kind of waiting for the logos.
Yeah.
Because those are, once again, literally, we are recording. As we're recording now, I can tell you technically it's Sunday, because it's 12:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, we do this for you and the love of the game. And I will just share with you as we wind down that this is just so fresh that we wanted to let you know. Get it out there. Nerdinitiative.com. Make sure you're subscribed. Nerd Initiative YouTube channel. That's where the live streams and the videos will be put up at. And the wrestling journey will start in the very near future. Like I said, I don't want to give the date now, just in case we have to push back for technical reasons. But as long as all goes well, we have a date that's not too far in the distant future. Pretty much the really near future, I should say. And we're going to open in a big, bad way. No matter what, we're going to open in a big, bad way. But if we open the way we plan on opening, we're going to hit the ground running hard, hand down, stiff arming the competition, if you will.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the great coverage you guys get here, you're going to get it over there. And of course, we're going to keep it positive, and we're going to keep it. I mean, that doesn't mean we're not going to say things weren't bad. But once again, we're going to keep it positive, because we want the conversation. So when you want to come in and chat with us, we're never going to tell you you're wrong. Maybe we differ in opinions, but we're going to have that conversation. That's what we want to foster. And then we're going to be able to do that there. So enough about all that. Make sure, like I said, once again, drive it home, nerdinitiative.com, Nerd Initiative on YouTube. Make sure you hit those links up. If you need to find those links, Ken, just tell them real quick how to find you in the ODPH podcast and all those wonderful links.
ODPHpodcast.com.
And of course, they will be up on 3FNpodcast.com soon, which is where you can find all of my links as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we told you you guys wanted more. When we asked you if you wanted more, we got you more. And not only did we get you more, we're getting you more with something behind it. So it's going to be awesome, and you guys are going to want to be on the ground floor as well. With that being said, that's going to do it for this week's 607 TWS. For myself, for Ken M, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and most importantly, later wrestling fans.
Take my hand, we could
this New Japan. Rainmaker, my heart so damn hard I can no longer stand in this room. I'm starting to swoon. The walls made of neon, but I can't stop looking at you. Looking at you. And I've got a plan to shatter